last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant!
Judgment, Alfred.
Chloe, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh! You wanna get sued?
Judgment, Alfred.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a running.
Sorry for what?
But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love him when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. And I saw little Miss Sharon, thank you for hitting the like first. Thank you so much. And I saw SI Officer, Kiki 2025 True Crime. I saw Cinderella, Mama Risa, Sammy, BMW Corp, good to see you, or Coop, sorry. And Michelle, good to see you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Hey, Blast, good evening. Good evening to all of you. Happy Friday. Today was a long day for everyone. And we had an update on the news from Seth. He actually went down to Sumner County Sheriff's Office and was advocating for his son to be found. It's been way too long, 453 days today, that Sebastian has been missing. And, you know, we went over probably every theory here, because we do talk about Sebastian a lot on this channel. You know, we've gone over the blame Sebastian theory. We've gone over the blame some random stranger theory. We've gone over the Chris and Katie theory. We've gone over just Katie. I mean, that's where it all points to. If Chris wasn't in the neighborhood or even in the vicinity of the crime, then, you know, there only leaves one person. Hey, Kiki says, yes, so proud of Seth. I'm so proud of Seth. He's super dad. Super dad. And I think that we need to really champion dads that are going to be so strong in the role of what we think that maybe a mother should be, right? Because, I mean, look at Brandy Neal. Look at her. Look at her face. Look at the desperation in her face. You know, she's a beautiful woman. She has other kids. But she's out there advocating for Michael Monkey Vaughn, her son, all the time. This is just one example. And he's still missing. And that's the desperation in her face. And that's what we expect to see out of mothers. We expect to see that. We expect to see someone who cares. We expect to see urgency. We expect to see someone demanding for answers. We don't see that with Katie. I mean, Chris's face says it all on this little thumbnail up here on my background. I don't know. Oh no. Chief Craddock, I don't know. Oh no. We've been working hard behind the scenes. What have you been doing? Come out and tell us what you've been doing. Come out and tell us. It doesn't take but 5 minutes to tell us what you've been doing and update the public. You just expect us to trust you. When even the night before last on my live, we went over some of the lies that were told to Seth in the very beginning about the flashlight video. Trying to pull the literal wool off of his eyes. And he's a father who's desperate for answers. Look at his face. And I'm not saying that I don't expect dads to do things like this, right? It's not like something that's special, right? It's not special. It's expected. So, but I don't think it's fair to champion mothers like Brandy, who we should obviously be championing her. Sorry, can't talk today. It's just super frustrating. And then we see Katie with a dumb old look on her face, like she won't say anything. She was the last one with him. Brandy was at work when Michael went missing. Brandy didn't have anything to do with her son's disappearance. Brandy took a lot of heat in the beginning for whatever reason, people being suspicious. I understand that. That's why I'm very cautious when it comes to the children that are missing in Nova Scotia. I'm very cautious to point the finger. I'm very cautious to say that, you know, not enough is being done, because it does look like enough is being done. It looks like they're exhausting all of their efforts. They even went back to a certain area in the woods, which I think that we need to ask ourselves why they would go back there, right? Because they interrogated the stepfather. We know there was an interrogation in that case. Where are the interrogations in this case? Have there been any interrogations? Did they do the polygraph? Did they do their due diligence? Because it doesn't seem like they have. It just doesn't seem like they have. I have a couple clips for you guys tonight. I have a couple clips. One of them is Seth, right, on the news, of course. And then, hey, Hindsight, good to see you. And then we have another clip from Mommin' It Up, because I couldn't say it better. I was listening to Mommin' and I was like, wow. And again, it just brought me back to thinking about Brandy Neal and just how she's done every single thing she can to bring awareness to her son's case, to beg and plead with the public, to ask for the questions to be answered that have not been answered. They've gotten really, really close in that case. It's absolutely disgusting, the people that they're dealing with. You know, I wish that there was some type of a closure for her and they would just tell her where Monkey is. I mean, again, it's just to the point of disgustion, just being disgusting. But let's watch this one first from Seth. And in case, I'm sure a lot of people saw it, it was all over the place. And please, guys, if we'll probably have some trolls in here tonight just because of some legal actions that I took. But please get them the hell out of here. I have no patience for any type of assholes that are going to come in here and talk shit on Seth and say that he's not a good enough father. So, you know, if you see anything like that or anybody being rude to me, please just boot their asses out of here. I could care less. I don't even care. I don't give a shit if they subscribe or not. Okay, so here we go.
It has been 453 days since now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers vanished from his home in Hendersonville. His disappearance sparked national headlines, but now his father says the case is losing momentum. With National Missing Children's Day coming up on Sunday, he is raising his voice and demanding urgency. News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry is outside the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, where Sebastian's father made an emotional plea today. Caitlin.
Sebastian's biological father, Seth Rogers, was deeply frustrated when he spoke with me. He fears the case is going cold.
My son's been missing for 15 months, and they don't care.
Sebastian disappeared in February last year. He was just 15 years old. Initial search efforts involved local police, the TBI, and the FBI. But those physical searches have since shifted to focus on the investigative side. The last press conference on the case was more than a year ago.
I would love to see them actually conducting more searches. I'd like to have some communication on the tips that have come in just with me, so that I know that when a tip comes in, I'm not following up on what job they're supposed to do.
Seth says only one detective is actively assigned to the case and that he is often left to chase down the same leads, also sent to law enforcement.
We need more than just one set of eyes on this case, but it all falls on my shoulders to ask people to help find my son. My son means something to me. These people should be doing their job.
In his push for progress, Seth says he's reached out to lawmakers and is even drafting federal legislation aimed at reforming how child protection agencies and the Amber Alert system handle missing children's cases.
It's a federal oversight law on places like CPS, DCS, the Amber Alert, getting it redone and taking it out of people's hands that don't care about the children.
According to the FBI, an estimated 460,000 children are reported missing in the U.S. every year. Seth says every one of those cases deserves attention, including Sebastian's.
A parent demands answers. We demand answers because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
We reached out to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office for a statement. They assured us this case remains a top priority and said in part, please know that behind the scenes a tremendous amount of work has been done and will continue. Some aspects of the investigation are not visible to the public due to the sensitive nature of the case. Sebastian's family continues to ask for the community's help. If you know anything about Sebastian's whereabouts, you're asked to call the Sumner County Sheriff's Office or the TBI. Those numbers can be found on our website at WKRN.com. Live in Gallatin, Caitlin Quisenberry, News 2.
Okay, guys. So, I mean, just heartbreaking to watch that, right? Poor Seth. Where's Sebastian? Where is he? What happened to him? Last press conference, April 2nd, 2024. They won't say that. They'll just say over a year ago. That was the last press conference. Sebastian went missing in February. March, April, they were done talking. April 2nd, 2024. I don't want to bash the police. We need them. I've dealt with some really great officers as of late. But come on. What's going on? Hey, Ginger Girl's mom, may God, being the good God that he is, take all that is evil and turn it into good. Amen. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Thanks, Ginger Girl's mom. That's beautiful. Hey, VW Holly Girl. Hey, Lori. And hey, Holly S. Good to see you, everybody coming in. Hey, Poppy Love. Cinderella says in the beginning of all of this, I always called Craddock Barney Fife. I think Barney even did a better job. Cinderella. That's funny. I liked Barney. Love you too, Kiki. Thank you. Michelle says, if I was Seth, I'd ask for internal affairs. I'd ask for internal affairs. Why such conflict of interest in investigating this missing child? I mean, well, really well said. Thank you, Michelle. And yeah, there needs to be something done. There's something wrong where certain things aren't being followed through on. And then also, Seth has asked many, 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 many times, please, I need you to expedite this to the FBI. And they refuse to give it up. You know, who am I to say they're not doing a good job? I'm not a police officer, right? But when we look at this, just from an outside perspective, just as a public opinion, it doesn't look good. It looks awful, actually. And it looks like not everything that can be done is being done. So glad to have you, SI officer. Thank you. I know you always listen while you're working, so. Hey, Rogue. Good to see you, Rogue. Kiki says, I have friends that are police and sergeants. My mom worked for a judge for 32 years and never seen them act this way, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to agree. It's not very often that you see kind of such, I need to be careful with how I say it, but, you know, I mean, they're just sloughing things off, it seems like. And then Seth has to track down the same leads, right? And he doesn't know if they've been followed up on fully, it sounds like, from what he was saying, right? You know, and he fears the case is going cold. And we did a live on that very subject the other night, talking about Jennifer Coffindaffer, and that she was telling us to start looking at it through the lens of a cold case. And I don't know exactly what she means by that, but we can kind of surmise from what how other cold cases have been handled, and we can say, okay, this is the lens that she's wanting us to look through. I just don't think that I'm ready to do that, but I do think that if we're looking at it like a cold case, like it's hasn't been looked at for a little while, and now we're freshly looking at it again, that means that we need to go all the way back to the beginning and figure out kind of what we may have missed. We had to have missed something. There is no perfect crime, and kids do not just poof and up and vanish. I want to play Mommin'. I'm going to play Mommin' It Up. Here we go. And if you guys could drop Mommin' It Up's link in the chat, please. She, like I said, I couldn't have said this better. She's amazing. And she is a mother of children who have special needs, right? She's a fantastic mother, and I look up to her, and I love her dearly. So here we go.
And he was out there asking for the FBI to take over. He started a petition. I mean, this man has gone above and beyond. What else can he do? We need to ask, can they please just hand this over to give the FBI the lead? Because to me, I think this is very complex. We know that anybody that's reported on Sebastian shared his flyer, talked about him online. Lots of us were targeted for doing so. Some of us much more than others, especially if you were local. So, I mean, what can they do? Can they get the lead to the FBI? Can we do that for this young man and for the community?
Federal oversight law on places like CPS, DCS, the Amber Alert, getting it redone and taking it out of people's hands that don't care about the children.
According to the FBI, an estimated
it concerns me. I mean, if they care so much about the children, why are we not taking certain things seriously? I'm going to be on later tonight and go over something that has been very concerning to me and many others in this case, and we're not quite sure if it's been taken seriously or not. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's concerning.
160,000 children are reported missing in the U.S. every year. Seth says every one of those cases deserves attention, including Sebastian's.
A parent demands answers. We demand answers because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
Amen. He should be found. He should be brought back to his father. Justice needs to prevail. We cannot just turn our heads on our children, especially our most vulnerable. They do not vanish. We all know that this does not add up. This doesn't make sense. And you have this weird behavior patterns with the mother and the stepfather. And they're saying, many times we've heard, law enforcement doesn't want us to say anything. We can't tell you things because law enforcement doesn't want us to. If it's about Sebastian's privacy, if it's about something to do with him, his medical, things like that, we don't need to know. But we need to know that you guys are doing your due diligence, and it doesn't feel that way. It feels like something's wrong here. Children don't vanish. Cameras all over that neighborhood. They picked up on people walking their dogs, cars coming and going, Ubers, airports. You can't expect us to believe that you don't know where this child is. You can easily pull all the cameras on the traffic lights, all the trail cams in the woods. Where is Sebastian Rogers? Please do something. You see something, you say something, and it really feels like it's the opposite happening. I don't know where the cog in the wheel is, but we need to protect our children, our most vulnerable, our complex disabilities, our cognitive disabilities, our impairments mentally, physically, emotionally. We have vulnerable people. We can all be vulnerable, and we are supposed to stand out there and be loud and protect them and advocate for them and advocate for one another when we need it. And this father has gone above and beyond, and it is time for us to be Sebastian's army, Seth Rogers' army, and the army of the most vulnerable, and rise up and demand that we have answers. Answers are out there. You could be the hero, Sumner County. You can be the hero, Hendersonville, TBI. Please do the right thing. I know you care about the children. I know you care about protecting and serving us here in this community. But please take seriously these tips you're getting. Don't dismiss them. Don't roll your eyes. Bring in the FBI. Give them the lead. This might be way, way more complex, and it is okay to ask for help. But what isn't okay is to not let this man know what's going on and not have his son home or any children home. So I just plead with the public to please take into consideration what you would do in this situation if your child was missing. And if you know something, call it in. Call law enforcement. Raise heck. Okay, the squeaky wheel will get the oil. Protect yourself. Believe in the Lord. Rise above. Good prevails over evil. Always.
Woo, Mammon. Go, Mammon. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about right there. Well said. I could never say it better myself. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Lori. Thank you. Just so many great points in like a 4-minute clip. She did awesome. So, protecting our most vulnerable, the weird behavior patterns of mom and stepfoot. How many cameras were in the hood that night, right? Tons of them. Tons of cameras all over the place, picking up dogs being walked, picking up, hell, anything in the neighborhood. Anything and everything was picked up that night. And then we also have the flashlight video that was picked up. We also had some video from another house that was located behind the Proudfoot residence. So, SI officer says absolutely he needs to fill in an internal affairs form per the department. Absolutely. They won't relinquish it. And that's the problem. It's under Sumner County Sheriff's jurisdiction right now. SI officer says, my emotions through this has been so bipolar. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's like I couldn't put the video together today without crying. I mean, it's so awful to see Seth and feel like we're so helpless, right? But there's things that we can do. There's things that we can do to spread awareness about Sebastian. We don't need to stop talking about him. We need to keep talking about him. We need to keep sharing his flyer. We need to keep up with the newest billboards coming out and sharing those out. We need to talk about Sebastian's story, about the odd behaviors, about the good behaviors, all of it, you know, all of it. We need a hero. That was another huge takeaway that I got from Mammon. We need a hero, whether it's going to be Sumner County, whether it's going to be the TBI, whether the FBI does step in, which I don't foresee that happening. We need a hero. Lori says, since I saw Seth on the news, I could not stop crying. This broke my heart. Oh yeah, Lori. I mean, it absolutely did mine too. And it, you know, it put me into, you know, I don't want to say a negative headspace because I do try to stay positive. But I mean, I just, again, I feel like helpless, you know, like I wish there was something that I could do. I wish that I could have been there protesting outside or something. I wish I could have knocked on the door and said, you know, would you hear something from the public? You know, would you hear a theory from the public? But, you know, at the end of the day, Seth has to do this on his own. We can't really help him. There's nothing we can really do besides pray and do our own part on awareness, and it's just absolutely sad. Ginger Girl's mom says, one set of eyes in a small office with business hours and weekends off is not good enough for Sebastian's case, in my opinion. Well, and then we heard Jen Coffin-Daffer talking about what the norm is when the FBI is on a case and they are working the case. We did hear her say that, and we heard her say that a lot of people would stay, you know, overnight at the office, or they'd fall asleep because they would be working late. The dedication is definitely there, and I commend and respect anyone who is in that position and does that for people and their families. They're very important. They are so important. Mammon talks about a cog in the wheel. She talks about this cog in the wheel, and there's it's somewhere. It's somewhere. And that's, I think, someplace that we need to focus our attention to is where that's occurring within the system and who is working this case. Because it definitely seems very apparent to me that there is a cog in the wheel, and that we need to identify what it is, so then that way we can move forward and be more productive, instead of this crazy crap cycle of a hamster wheel of bullshit and threatening other people and talking shit constantly and making money off of this case because you're talking about another creator, or you're harassing someone publicly and everybody thinks it's great and they're sending you money to do it. It's very disgusting. Anybody that gives a damn about this child doesn't ever want to see anything like that happen and is against it. Only bad people do things like that. Only bad people think up different situations on how they can harass somebody else. It's absolutely and utterly disgusting. Again, I think that'll be the word for the show. So if you're drinking tonight, that's your word every time I say disgusting, because it's probably going to pop out a lot here and there. SI officer says, and then to state what she stated about the video appalls me. Yeah, I was upset about it too, SI officer, you know, especially because Jen was very much pro the lights video, right? And then something occurred, something happened where she's saying that it's not significant. And it was very odd, in my opinion. Very, very odd, in my opinion. Poppy Love says, I know we all are really happy to see Seth standing up for Sebastian, not getting to help. He should be getting the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. I think you met Poppy Love. I think I wish they'd allow the U.S. Marshals and FBI's others help. Well, and don't forget, Seth did have the petition up early on, and I signed the petition. I posted it on my channel here. I was really tiny, itty bitty little channel here when I did that, and I remember going over and signing it and pleading my case on change.org. Seth has wanted, every resource that he could possibly have for his son. And that is absolutely one of the most normal things that we've seen in this case, in my opinion. Hindsight says, in my opinion, those 36 hours from the start played a big part in why we are where we are and still are now. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, hindsight. Those hours in the very, very beginning are crucial. And we know that, right? All of us that like true crime, the first 48, right? It's named the first 48 because that's the most important part and time in the case, right? If you lose out on key evidence in that time frame, you're screwing yourself over later, no matter which way you slice it. It doesn't matter whether it's one piece of evidence that you lose or the integrity of that evidence is lost. Like when you have many, many people trampling around Sebastian's house that morning that never should have been there, like Chris's mother, for instance, never should have been there. Nobody should have been in that house. It should have been quarantined off, and it should have been treated like a crime scene, missing person, right? Because it's against the law there for that to happen. SI officer says they have debunked so much in so many different areas. I question it. Absolutely. That's another great point. Every single time there's any type of evidence out there, they debunk it. Or they try to say, oh, that's not true. Or that's not what you're really seeing. Or whatever. What have you. I mean, we even saw it with Seth and the police. They went out of their way to convince Seth that basically the lights video was a trash truck. The flashlights that were moving through the common area was a trash truck driving through the common area. But it wasn't. And they used the fact that the camera footage had been stuck at 3:11 a.m. to their advantage to concoct a story to make Seth believe this. We have proof of it. And when people say, go back and watch Pascal's interview, okay. Sure, because I already know what Seth said. I used to watch Pascal. I was part of that group that was in the very beginning watching Pascal, and Seth would come on the panel unexpectedly, or it started becoming expectedly. So, yeah, I don't need to rewatch it, but now we have to go back and examine it because there's people that are going to say, oh, well, he said it was a trash truck too. Bullshit, he said it was a trash truck too. Law enforcement told him it was a trash truck, and so he reiterated what law enforcement told him. And he believed law enforcement because that's what we're supposed to believe them. We're supposed to think that they have our best interests in mind. But they don't. What they have the best interest of is the case that they're working. Period, point blank. In that situation, they don't have anybody else's best interest, just the case that they're working, in my opinion. And that could be a good or a bad strategy. Sometimes it's good. Most of the time, it's good to keep things close to the vest. But when you get to a certain point, there may be things that the public, if they have the knowledge of said evidence, or any type of maybe a lead or a clue, it could help push that faster through. Like when we talk about America's Most Wanted and why it's so popular, they've caught how many fugitives? I don't know. I mean, a lot. They've been on for a very, very long time. They catch these people because of the public's interest and because the public knows what they look like. And the minute that they're spotted, then the public can call, and it's more eyes on the situation than it would be only a few eyes of a few people that know the information. Now, how it can work in a good way, keeping it close to the vest, is that the only people who are actually involved in the crime might know these certain type of details. So those are very important to keep close to the vest, because that way you're not tipping anybody off to the knowledge that you have, right? That's a smart strategy. That strategy works. Kiki says, I have started from the beginning because I feel that they have debunked or relevant, that they have, maybe you're trying to say debunked evidence that's relevant. Okay, yeah. If that's what you're trying to say, I absolutely agree. And going, you know, going back to the beginning, while it can be really daunting, especially because a lot of the things that were said in the beginning were quite awful. But we hear what Seth said today about his missing son, and I want, because Chris is somewhat of a spokesperson for Katie, but this is one of the last things he said about his stepson.
Very high functioning.
I mean, and that's why, like, I was trying to just put it out there, is like, everybody has come up with this idea, and that's not the case. People would know Sebastian, like, if we had never said he was autistic, people would not have a clue that Sebastian was autistic. They would thought something was wrong with him and not ever said autism.
Right. And you know what? If he...
That's the last thing he said about Sebastian. One of the last things. Hey, Detroit Rock City. Rogue says Seth Rogers does not have to prove anything to us. We know he isn't guilty. We know he has an alibi. We know he's done everything, maybe probably everything Mayberry, the police, has asked them to, and we know he passed a polygraph. So clear him. He can't get the proper resources either. You know, we talked about that a little bit last night too, Rogue, so thank you for your comment. Yeah, we can't, I mean, you know, I backed off for a long time, guys. I backed off for a long time. And I think now it's time to kind of ask some questions, because I really thought by now someone would have come out and at least done another presser, because we haven't had one since April 2nd of 2024. Hey, Connie S., thank you for being here. I know today was a busy day, I think, for everyone. I'm glad you're here, Connie. And Poppy Love says, I agree, hindsight. Those first days were critical, and it's been red flags from the beginning. Why? Why? I mean, come on, Cinderella. No kid, no parenting plan. Oh, I wrote the parenting plan. Well, good for you. We don't expect you to let Katie do stuff on her own. That doesn't surprise me. Am I supposed to be shocked by that? SI officer says selectively improperly handling protocol for this case, in my opinion, because of friendships here. Yeah. And just, you know, knowing each other throughout the community, right? Because it's a small place, right? It's up and coming, right? But it's small. And everybody knows everybody. And we've seen a lot of those locals go absolutely crazy and cause all kinds of havoc in this case. Like the locals that have caused so much turmoil in this case, it's off the charts. It just is off the charts. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Michelle says, it's too bad Seth doesn't file internal affairs paperwork. It really seems the thing that might help. Well, and you know, at least make a complaint with the internal affairs and see if they'll do an investigation. I agree, Michelle. I agree. I don't think that it's something that he's maybe not wanting to do. I think that it's probably something where he was giving them enough time, right, to kind of do something about it when they said they were going to. And now he's asking questions, as he should. That's what a good dad does. That's what a good parent does. SI officer says threats could also be involved. People are scared. Everyone that gets on the case eventually backtracks and scatters away. Something is happening and it needs to be investigated. I agree with you, SI officer. And, you know, just like Maman said, with the little clip that we played, she said people were getting targeted for spreading awareness. And why aren't they taking certain things seriously? Right? because that's what a lot of the locals have been doing, is threatening other people, doxing people online. Be the heroes, not the zeros. And I went through a lot of things in the last couple of months. And I'm not going to backtrack, and I'm not going to scatter away, and I'm not going to stop talking about Sebastian. I will always talk about Sebastian. When he is found, I will talk about him. When he gets justice served, like I think he will, and I pray that he will, I will be talking about Sebastian. I will always talk about Sebastian. Always. And no one will stop me from talking about him. There's no reason to stop talking about him, because when we stop talking about him, that is when the case gets cold. When the public has no more interest in the case, that's when the case grows cold. And I think that we, as a community, have been so strong in coming together and saying, no, we are taking a stand together, and we are not going to stop talking about Sebastian. And yes, we still want to hear about what's going on in his case, even though it can be a lot for people emotionally. It can be draining, just energy like you wouldn't believe. Some people that are good people don't even want to deal with it because it's gotten so out of hand, right? But there's certain people out there that have to continue fighting for Sebastian, and I'm one of them. I will never stop. I don't think that people should. My friend Hindsight here, I know that she is very diligent and very determined to keep Sebastian's name out there and to find out what happened and to find the truth. And that's what we need, is we need people who are truth seekers. We don't need people that don't want to accept or handle the truth. We need people who are truth seekers, who are fact finders, and who want to understand those things so that we can find a solution, or so it can bring us closer to finding a solution. Yeah, and Mama Risa too, Lil Miss Sharon says, did the cameras catch anything around the Bower Sox on the 25th, 26th, or 27th? I don't know. And see, we don't hear about that either. We don't even hear what they actually think happened, right? We don't get a theory or anything like that, which again, I understand that. That's really, the police don't owe that to us. They just don't. But that's a great question, Little Miss Sharon. I'd like to know that as well. Yeah, I didn't think so, Hindsight. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't think so. Never said allegedly. It's just awful, Lori. Awful, awful, awful. Thank you, Rogue. Like I said, if you guys have to bounce trolls, just bounce them. And I sent a very detailed email to someone tonight, waiting to hear back. Let's see what happens. Okay, SI officer, that's great. Donuts. I would bring them a lifetime supply of donuts if they found Sebastian, Rogue. Poppy Love said, who do you go to for help if the local sheriff's department isn't doing more or calling in help from FBI, U.S. Marshals, or other help? Who's above SCDC? Or, SCSD? And what's unfortunate is that Sumner County Sheriff's Office has the ultimate jurisdiction in this case. That I know to be a fact. One that I don't like particularly, but it's a fact. It's a fact. Well, the district attorney, Rogue, that is another person to talk to. Ray Whitley is that person. Detroit Rock City says, my husband listened to Seth with me while we were making dinner, and he was furious. I was crying, and even though he's been following with me, he stood up and said, this is bullshit. I mean, and Detroit, I think it's so cool when I hear that there are, you know, because mostly women watch me, right? We have our Napanoch father, we have our Forrest Parolin, we have um, our guys that come in here, right? Joseph Rapp and James Cooper, right? I'm trying to remember all you guys because there's not a lot of you. I so appreciate you guys. Um, but I appreciate it too when I hear that, you know, viewers have husbands who are also equally invested in Sebastian's case, because it just really melts my heart. Just knowing that that's something that people are paying attention to together, because it's important. Um, it really is. Fingers crossed, little Miss Sharon. Rogue says the snide comments about these corruptors is how to deal with bad people. Sorry if the trolls are getting their feelings hurt. Well, and I don't really care. I know that I don't go into other people's chats and become oppositional or rude with them or talk crap. If I go into somebody's chat that I don't like, I'll just sit there in the bushes and listen. And I do that with people that I like too, because I don't feel like chatting or something like that. If I have something to say, I'll say it. But it's a circus. It's turned it into a circus, SI officer. A freaking circus. Yes. Mama Marisa says, hindsight, you know how much I'm in love with Sebastian. And we do love him, That's why I tried to say in the video, please don't feel like you're alone, because people care, Seth. People really do care. Holly S says she's a crackpot, in my opinion, even before this, in my opinion. Oh, goodness, Holly S. I'll tell you, I didn't always agree with her, but I do, I do try to keep up with, you know, all the true crime cases. There's certain things that she has said in the past that on like court TV or something like that, where I'm like, but then when she was for Sebastian, I was like, okay, for Sebastian, Detroit. Rogue says, how can Craddock not have been placed on leave as a deputy years ago with a PE comment like he had since removed when the people called him out? Yeah, yeah. I agree. I don't know. I don't think anybody thought anybody really cared about it, right? Maybe they weren't following him, or he didn't have that many followers. I think it's something to mention, though. If you're going to be, electing people in, you probably should go to their Facebooks. I was appalled when I went to the Facebook of some of these people in Louisiana whenever I was researching really heavily on Crystal's case. And I had the luxury of doing that because Jana had already had all of this information right at my fingertips and sent it all over to me. So I was kind of, messing around then on Facebook, looking around on people and things like that. I'm like, I can't believe what some of these cops were posting in their pages. I'm like, oh my gosh, because, even my real estate page, where I have another Facebook that's separate, right, from when I was a realtor in Missouri. And it's like, I wouldn't have dreamed of putting anything weird on that page, or even my silliness, on that page, because I didn't want a client to go and look me up and be like, oh, this girl is inappropriate or whatever, or be offended by something that I said. So it was weird that I saw that. And then that wasn't the only thing that was weird that I saw on Craddock's page that was anti-woman. And Born a Honey, hey Born a Honey, says, have a good weekend, everyone. I wonder if she is asked to put out a different opinion to throw certain people off. Yeah, and you know what? That could very well be. I mean, maybe she, and the thing is we're all entitled to our opinions, and Jen put her opinion on her platform. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's that, but bunch of bullshit. That's right, Lori. Sammy says, me too. Pascal's from my hood. I love Pascal. I love Pascal. So I was with Pascal. I was with Pascal watching his coverage on Riley Strain. That was when I really got hard with Pascal into his chat and things, because we were trying to figure out what the heck could have happened to Riley, you know, and it was just really intense. His parents coming out, you know, from Springfield. I was living there at that time. You know, thanks blessed. But bad kitties. Uh-oh. Got a kitty mess, Detroit. Ginger Girl's mom says, why would Ali and D8 deceive a grieving father? I don't know. See, that's one thing that I can't understand, what the benefit of that particular transaction was, right? Convincing Seth that he shouldn't be thinking that it's someone in the neighborhood at 3 a.m. with flashlights, that it's a trash truck. I don't know. I don't know what the benefit was there, Ginger Girl's mom. I think so too, Lori. The light video tells the story. And we saw how attacked Chris from the mob crew was, right? Going back to all of these targeted attacks that people are enduring because they're for Sebastian. They're spreading awareness for Sebastian, you know? And the best thing that we can do, guys, is document and report it. It's a process. It takes a long time. It's not an overnight thing. It's very daunting and it's frustrating. And, you know, I just want to say too, thank you to all of you who have stood by me while I was dragged through the mud and while I was defamed and while I was threatened, harassed, and followed and cyberstalked. Thank you for all of you who stuck up for me. I know who you are. And you know who you are. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am for that, because I would think that something like that happening to somebody would literally make everyone on the internet against the person who's doing that, the cyber stalking, the bullying, and everything like that. But it doesn't. It gets them more subscribers. There's people there chanting it on and hoping for more. It's very sick and disgusting. And I just want to thank those good people out there that are just regular good people that saw right through the crap. And I am lucky to say that the law took action today. And it's finally something that I can feel like I am protected in certain ways. I get certain things are just a piece of paper. I completely understand that. But my peace of mind, my personal peace, because I'm using my platform to spread awareness about Sebastian and Summer Wells and, you know, the kids in Nova Scotia and any other child that comes onto my radar who has been missing or who was mistreated or failed by CPS. I'm going to talk about those children and I'm going to share their story so that people know that this is one more time that this has happened, that it's not as rare as we think it is. Just because it didn't happen to us doesn't mean that it never happens. Hey, Carla, good to see you. And, you know, I want to expose things that are not right out there because it's important. You know, that's what the platform is about. It's not about me. It's not about my life. It's not about really any of my viewers, even though I love all of you guys and I think you're fantastic. And I couldn't, you know, put a lot of this stuff together without you, because a lot of times I'll be sitting here thinking one thing and you'll say something that completely makes me think something different, or I'll remember something I was going to say, and you guys are just fantastic. I love all of you. But I really want to shout out to the people that have been right there and being like, no, you're lying. This is bullcrap, and quit defaming Lady Freedom because she's trying to talk about Sebastian. And even more so, I'm so very grateful for the people that stood up and said, look, you're only doing this because she's talking about Sebastian. You're only targeting and attacking her because she's talking about Sebastian's case. And I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, because when people do those kinds of things to you and they try to intimidate you and make you fear for your safety in your own life and in your own home, where you pay a lot of money to stay in a very safe and nice community with nice neighbors who you are scaring while you were in my neighborhood. You should be ashamed of yourself for that, not getting applauded and sending money. But now that I have taken legal action against you, that should all stop right now, right? And just so you guys all know that even when somebody has a warrant, it doesn't mean that another person can go and victimize them. But for the record, I don't have any warrants. Hey, Ida Anthony, good to see you. But for everybody who stuck around because they knew and they considered the source, I appreciate you. For everyone who saw this for exactly what it was, I appreciate you. Thank you for not being a sheep. Thank you for not just going and doing whatever it is that was going on in one chat and talking a bunch of shit and then coming over and, acting like you were interested in something that I had to say. I appreciate the real people out there, because there are real people out there who are not sheep, who think for themselves. And, when somebody they like does something wrong, they stand up and they say, this isn't right. I'm not going to be a part of this. I wouldn't want this done to me. I wouldn't want this done to my family. Oh, I'm glad you're here, Carla. We always love having you here. But I wanted to share that with you guys, because I know that I said that I was going to tell you guys once I had everything all together, right? Because I don't want it to be a situation where law enforcement thinks it's a tit for tat, because it's not. I was completely targeted by somebody. I have no idea who they are, because Terry Lynn and Minnie and Gracie and Forever Nikki's mom told him to target me because he lives in the same area as I do. It was all an attack on me from locals, one local in particular, Terry Lynn, in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Now, I have open 2 reports to the cyber stalking division, right? But then since it was happening in my area, and since they brought it to me in Florida, I was able to go down to the police station and actually file the paperwork I needed to take care of myself here. Thank you, Kiki. Thanks, Kiki, for your super chat. She says, in my opinion, why would LE not want help? Yeah, I struggle with that too. I don't know if it's because they want to be the one to solve it, which has crossed my mind. They could also be very passionate about the case, right? Where they say, I want to be the one to solve this, right? This is my case. And they could be territorial over it. I would feel that way. I can't say I wouldn't feel that way. I do feel that way in a lot of instances too. Which is why I will not stop talking about Sebastian, because, he was my first case on this platform. He was not supposed to be my first case on this platform. No doubt I would have talked about Sebastian at some point, because look at him, but, Harmony Montgomery was going to be my first case. And the person who inspired my YouTube channel was Gabby Petito. But I realized that on YouTube, domestic violence issues are taboo. And a lot of times you will get demonetized on videos and not have the sponsors because of the content, which is domestic violence, right? We're not even really supposed to say domestic violence. Domestic violence. So a lot of people don't like to hear it. Hey, Seth. Good to see you, Seth. Seth says, I will never stop looking for my son and Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Thank you. Thank you, Seth. And I know you never will stop looking for him. And that's the big difference, I was saying to my friend yesterday, I'm like, I don't like being the one to not champion a mom, right? Or be like, hey, my heart goes out to Katie. I can't believe that, she's lost her son, but you never hear her coming out and advocating the way you do, Seth. Never, And we're all so proud of you. Yeah, Kiki says, hello, Mr. Seth, praying, sir. So proud of you. So proud of you. And I am too. And Lori is too. You know, this is exactly what Sebastian needed, was for you to go there. Exactly what he needed. Mama Risa says, Seth, and we will be there helping you. Absolutely. Ginger Girl's mom, thank you. Hindsight says, in my opinion, based on the visible characteristics, economic status, education, home environment, they accepted the report as him running away. Their profile didn't send any red flags just looking at that. I agree. I agree. 100%, right? There was an unconscious bias, in my opinion, hindsight, and I agree with what you said, because, you know, and when we think about it too, when we think about it, police go into some pretty crazy situations, right? I mean, we hear about them all the time where there's households that are like, you know, roaches everywhere, roach infested houses, mice everywhere, unfinished, you know, work in the house, things like that. Now, by no means does, just because somebody doesn't have the financial means doesn't mean that they don't have to be clean, right? So there's already something really strange there, because even if, you know, even if you're poor, you could still have a nice house, right? Um, so, but in this circumstance, you know, they walk in, they see a clean house, there's food, right? Sebastian has his own room, he's got a bathroom, right? Very normal looking from the outside. But it's not like the CPS reports were right there that time, you know, the whole time or anything like that. They just weren't, you know, they didn't know about that till later, probably. And God only knows how much later, but I agree with you, hindsight, they weren't looking into it as if something could have happened. And I think they needed to. That's where they lost a lot of evidence they could have had. And I agree. Mama Risa says, Seth, we stand strong in finding Sebastian. I love this child so much. Aw, Mama, thank you. And, you know, just to see the advocacy and standing up for what's right, that's what we love to see. And that's what we would love to see from Katie. I would love to see that. I would love to see her banging on the door of Sumner County. You talk about flipping ship, you know, I would give her major kudos for that. Just, you know, putting it out there. Detroit Rock City says we need to demand more help. Why are they putting it off? It's a travesty of justice at this point. Absolutely. It absolutely is. Very well said, Detroit. Thank you. Bless says, Seth, we will continue to be with Sebastian and you nonstop. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Blessed. Just good people that want to see Sebastian found. That's it. Megan Els. Hello, Megan Els. Thank you, Cinderella, for the green hearts. Meg's late. Meg's late, everybody. No, I'm just kidding, Meg. You're not late. You're a wizard. Carla says, hello, Seth. Don't know what has been going on, but it's high time LE clears you as a suspect. You have proof where you were. Absolutely, Carla. And I think they need to cut the shit with that. You know, and I know I've sat up here plenty of times saying, oh, well, yeah, you know, law enforcement, they don't want to clear Seth because they don't want to tip off Chris and Katie. And if they don't clear all three parents, and, you know, it's going to look bad and da-da-da-da-da. But honestly, at this point, come on. Hindsight says, Seth, we are right here for you and Sebastian, my friend. And I know you guys are working diligently on the Texas Roadhouse video. I mean, analyzing that. I think it's a big part of this too. I wish they would listen, Cinderella. I wish they would. Hey, Meg. You did? Oh, Kai said she wrote to Ray Whitley tonight. Thank you for doing that. I think that we all need to be doing that too. Writing a letter. Sometimes the shorter the better with people. Whose links are dropping like it's hot tonight. I know. I meant to get a hold of you guys because I wanted to. Eric with an H is one of our friends over here too, and he has something really awesome on his channel for cyberbullying and all of that kind of stuff. And I wanted to share that tonight. Thank you for reminding me, Meg. I get all these ideas in my head. They bounce around up there, and then half the time they don't get out. Seth says the DA is a waste of time as well. I spoke with the DA, and he has no information to give me based off what the sheriff has given him. So the sheriff needs to be giving him more information, because it sounds like it's very possible that he's not getting enough information to do anything. Damn. Oh, God. It just makes me sick. Carla says it's time to call and help. I'm sorry. No disrespect, but local LE is never going to get results or bring our boy home. I can't disagree with you, Carla. I cannot disagree with you, Mama Marisa says, Seth, hindsight and I are dedicated to finding answers, and we will not stop until we do. Thank you, Mama Marisa. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we have to be strong, and we have to keep focused. We have to. Because there's a lot of people that are trying to distract from the case. There's no doubt about it, right? We heard about it last night. It's been happening from the very, very beginning. They ran off the United Cajun Navy, for crying out loud. I mean, I know it was a long time ago, and there's so much that has come out, but we have to remember these little details. It's important. Kiki says, Seth, that's ridiculous. I can see them not giving much to the public, but a parent just blows my mind. I agree. Cinderella was thinking that too. Yeah, because if they don't have enough information, then they're going to be hesitant to charge, Meg says, I still think a shark attorney from New York needs to come in and roll Sumner County PD, CPS in the feet. I agree, Meg. I do. I agree. It's like something needs to happen, right? Just we need something different. It's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results, right? Because that just will drive you crazy. Detroit Rock City says, Seth, my heart is with you every day, all day. I pray that God gives you the strength to get through this and justice for Sebastian and you get served. My whole family is praying for you and your son. Thanks, Detroit. Thank you. And I second your husband's thoughts too. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Carla says, Mama, there's a bunch of us that feel that way. No threats, no fear of the losers here. Yeah. And that's all it is a big distraction because they don't want us talking about it because they know we're getting closer. They know the more people that talk about it, the more minds that are put together, the more we can theorize, the more hypotheses, the more ideas come about. Lori says, Seth, get a good lawyer and start lawsuits. They will get them off of their asses. I hope so. That would get them off of their asses. I would hope so, Lori. Maybe a civil case or Sammy says, unfortunately, if a sheriff's office refuses to investigate, there's little recourse. I mean, they have their own internal affairs boards. You can try other elected officials, etc. Yeah, and it might take that, writing letters to those people, Sammy. But I agree with you. I know it's tough, and that's one thing that Jen did say a couple of times, right? That the jurisdiction matters. Whoever has the case is the one that has all of the say-so, all of the power. If they do not invite other entities in, there's just unfortunately nothing that can be done unless we can find a way that it would make it absolutely federal. But I think even at that point, they would have to hand it over. Sammy says, but the truth is the sheriff's answers to the people, and there's little recourse unless the people choose to put pressure on him to recall him, to not reelect him. Yeah, and he ran unopposed last time, so there wasn't any recourse at all. It was like he won by default. He didn't even have to get any votes. I mean, people could have been completely against him, and he still could have been elected as sheriff. Would have been. He's the only one that ran. Carla says, Sammy G, in Nebraska, you can file a complaint with the ombudsman in Attorney General's office. Ombudsman. I hope I said that right, Carla. Maybe the Attorney General. That's a strong possibility. Cinderella says you can mail letters to senators and congressmen in Tennessee. I think that's a fantastic idea, Cinderella. I think that could actually, that's the kind of pressure that we're talking about, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, ran unopposed. Poppy Love says, Seth, when was the last time you talked with the DA? So he hasn't received anything about Sebastian from SC Sheriff Department. Hey, Mammon. I played part of your live that you did, your video. Mammon, because I couldn't say it better, so I was like, I need to pull this in and play it. And Mammon says, I'm ready to go lawfully and peacefully, stand anywhere to get Sebastian found. It was good to see Seth, but heartbreaking. I agree, Mammon. I would totally go with you too. I'd be standing in front of the courthouse. We might need to do something like that. We might need to plan something like that where we go out there and we make a stand and show Sumner County that we're all still standing here. Sebastian's not cold. His case is not cold. We have public interest. We want answers. We want to know what's going on. Lawfully and peacefully, absolutely. That's our right to assemble. Megan Nell says, an out-of-state attorney who can practice in Tennessee, they won't give a shit about shaking up Sumner County in Tennessee. I agree. And, that is such a great point, Meg, because a lot of people who maybe haven't dealt with the court system like that wouldn't understand what you're saying here, but I absolutely understand and I agree that it's strategic to pull someone in from another area that doesn't go to lunch with these people, that's not on the Rotary Club with these people, that doesn't hang out with them and go to dinners and things like that, because that is where you find a lot of this corruption. And when you can bring somebody else in, fantastic. That's what we need. And we need a shark. We need somebody that's not afraid to stand up. Hindsight says, Seth, the truth shall come to light. God will show them all. Faith. Hashtag keep the faith. Hashtag keep the faith. That's what your mom said too, huh, Kiki? Yeah. I think it's a smart strategy. And I think it's something that people probably would think, well, how come they would have to get somebody away from Sumner County? Well, because, they're too connected. There's too many conflicts of interest, in my opinion. And Kai says, momming it up, I am as well, and we're trying to get a protest going. Okay, well, perfect. There we go. That's important. And the more people that come and the more that can stand out there with signs, and be peaceful and show them, look, we're still here. We're here for Sebastian. We have not forgotten about him. We will not stop, you know? Carla says the Office of Inspector General, OIG, or the Department of Justice. Yeah, absolutely, Carla. Thank you. Those are also great places to write letters to. Yeah, no worries, no worries. I'm glad you're here, Mom. And I just wanted to pull that in because right before I went live, I went over and listened to you, and I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been thinking in my head. And I'm like, I need to play this because that way Mom said it best, and there you go. So you did great. You did great. SI officer says I was thinking that too. This is my observation and opinion. Either law enforcement doesn't want speaking of the case as much as we are because we are bringing too much light, and it is still an active investigation, or threats are being made and stories are changing and people are backtracking. I would like to believe the first opinion. Yeah, absolutely. I think both are valid. You know, it's an active investigation, yes. And I understand there's certain things. I'll tell you, you know, if there was something that I ever brought up on my show or, you know, just in general, and the police were like, hey, that is part of our, you know, investigation or something like that, I would completely understand. But I don't know. And I do think a lot of people are backtracking. And they have been, you know, and it's a lot to do with them being scared. Because of the threats and things like that. Because, you know, people who are threatening, you know, to come to your house, they're not coming there to bring you, you know, a pie. They're coming there to hurt you, you know, because you're talking too much, because they don't like what you're saying. They don't want to hear the truth. Kiki says, you're fine, Mom, and she played Seth's video from today and then some of yours. Yeah, I just played, you know, the whole newsreel there and then Seth's too. Aw. Thank you, Blessed. Blessed, thank you for your super chat. Blessed says, prayers for Sebastian, still your Huckleberry. I love that. Seth wasn't lying when he said that. I'm telling you. Aw, thanks, hindsight. And there are just so many people that just love Sebastian so much. And that's what really makes me happy, you know? Thank you, Mama Marisa. I stand with you guys too. I do. And I'm so glad that you guys are there and staying diligent. You know, that's the biggest thing, because it's hard. It's hard to do it, especially in, you know, when there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Hey, Don B. Don B says, prayers for you, Seth, and Sebastian's friends and family. Yes, absolutely. Always. Thanks, Don B, for being here. Aw, thanks, Lori. Yeah, Seth is in here. Well, he was for a little bit. I get behind in chat, guys. Thank you, Blessed. Hashtag disgusting. For sure. For sure. You know, I don't know what kind of, where that would put me in the algorithm, but I might just put that in there. Hashtag, hashtag disgusting. Detroit Rock City says, Mommin, word. Word up, Mommin. We love Mommin. She's another one that's very diligent, you know, and just keeps Sebastian in the forefront. And that's what we need. Hey, Babs. Oh, there's Babs. Babs says, not that I've heard of, except for when he had to hire one to get access to the CPS reports. Yeah, with the lawyer. Yeah, because that's the only person who could get those reports would be like a parent, not even like a parent, excuse me. I say like way too much. But yeah, so it would be one of the parents or both, and they would have to get an attorney to actually obtain those reports because they're confidential. Which I really don't like that, because I think that's how they get away with a lot of that stuff, you know. So, aw, thanks, Don B. Thank you so much. And Carla says, every single missing child's case needs to be investigated. when first arrives as a criminal investigation, and they can work from there to eliminate it. Too much evidence is getting destroyed. I agree, Carla, and I really think that they shouldn't have let a whole bunch of people in the house. I mean, that was the main thing that happened with the John Ramsey case. We also saw that in, oh no, I put Detroit in timeout. Oh gosh, Meg, thank you for letting me know. Oh my gosh. Okay. I hope she can come. I hope she comes back. I meant to hide you from the stage, and it's right underneath of that button. I'm so sorry, Detroit. Oh my gosh. But yes, so they should have treated it like a crime scene. We also saw that in the Elizabeth Smart case, right? Where there were people in and out, and even the uncle was like, yeah, like went to go put my arm down on the countertop, and and then I was like, oh crap, I'm, contaminating the crime scene, and he would have been right. And so then at that point, the officers all had to stop everything, and they're like, whoa, this is getting too out of hand, and they had to start getting everybody's fingerprints that was in the house, right? So then that way they can eliminate those fingerprints. That can set the investigation back like you wouldn't believe, right? Because now there's all these foreign fingerprints in there that had nothing to do with Elizabeth's disappearance, but now they're having to check them again, right? So it really destroys the situation, right? The whole scene. Absolutely. Oh, okay. Oh, I know Gracie Paris. Okay. Yeah. Lots of attorneys in Knoxville. Yeah, that's great. And, even if they were to get somebody that's maybe out of the county, that can still practice, I think that is a really good idea. Okay. So now I'm being super careful that I don't put anybody in timeout. My goodness. Hindsight says, unfortunately, attorneys are not the answer right now to find this child. They will be useful later, but not until this child is safely with his father. And I do agree with that too, Hindsight. I mean, unless it was going to be like maybe a civil case was brought into play. I have thought about that, but I agree with you. I think at this juncture, we just need to find Sebastian. Like, where is he? What could have happened? And like I said, we were going through some of these theories, right? Blame Sebastian theory. Sebastian walked out on his own. But there's no proof that he did that. There's no footage of him anywhere. And I mean, people talk, right? And because this was all private camera footage from people's homes, if there was a sighting of Sebastian out there, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, in my opinion, somebody would have said they saw, he's out there. He was out there in the neighborhood, right? He was on my camera. He could have walked off, right? But we've never heard that. And Sumner County said that they don't even have evidence that he left the house, which then starts, us all on theories like, okay, the crawl space, and okay, the sewer system, and okay, but they put cameras down through there. And, I mean, it puts us down a different rabbit hole, and it could have nothing to do with anything. So it's super frustrating. And Babs 22 says, Don B, he needs an attorney. Surely someone knows an attorney that will take his case and help him. And I think that it's been so great with all of the help that Seth has gotten so far too, like with Dog coming in, just all of the work that they've done as well. So, and Bab says, hindsight, I respectfully disagree. An attorney would represent Seth and Sebastian and the rights of both of them. Like I said, I could see the civil aspect of that. Like how Gabby Petito's family did it, right? So because Brian Laundrie, because of his folks in action, because they didn't talk, because they lawyered up and they wouldn't give out any information about what happened or what they knew to be true, they did take them to civil court, right? And filed civil action against them, which did help them to get some answers in the form of depositions. So, I see where that could come into play here. But where is Sebastian? I mean, where is he? That's the main thing, right? Where is he? Meg says, now that's for people running with a bunch of bullshit. Wrong again. No warrant fuckers. Meg, I was like, I didn't know what you were talking about at first. But even if somebody does have something like that, like, it doesn't mean that somebody can go do a crime on them. Like, what the heck? I don't understand the logic. Nanado 5 says, green hearts. Thank you. Thank you for the green hearts. And welcome in. Carla says, we won't stop talking and looking for Sebastian. You don't scare us. That's right. And there's nothing to be afraid of when you're telling the truth. You got every reason to be afraid when you're lying your butt off, you know. I know, Lori. Thank you. Thank you. And you know, like I said, I know who you guys are who stood up for me. I do. I just couldn't go around, you know, saying anything because I was trying to make sure that I was doing it the right way, you know. But I did want to kind of give you guys an update and just let you know that's why, you know, I was dealing with that kind of stuff behind the scenes, and it was just eating up a lot of my time, you know. Time that I could have been spending researching Sebastian's case, time that I could have been spending bringing you guys a new case into the mix as well, to talk about, or doing more comparisons. Still wanting to talk about Summer's case, right? June 15th, she will be missing for 4 years. Where is she? Just poof from her house in broad daylight? No way. Yeah, Babs. Yep, she's the one that started all of it. Yeah. So I reported that to the cyber stalking for FBI because that's a federal, because that's in a different state than me. So they're well aware of that. And then on top of it, they found somebody who lives in my area to come and stalk me and harass me and threaten me and defame me, scare my neighbors. And they bragged about it all. The only reason that I know they scared my neighbors because they bragged about it online. You know, all because I talk about Sebastian, you know. I know, Detroit, I'm so sorry. Thank you for hitting that like, Carla. Yeah, hindsight says understandably so. However, they cannot force LE to go beyond a scope that they deem appropriate by their investigation. Yeah, and that's what really, it sucks because there's not a lot of recourse, right? Like, that's what's so frustrating, hindsight. And I agree. They can't force them to do anything, right? It's not like we have any type of recourse that we can take, right? It's not like there's someone that we can go to and be like, hey, I don't think the police are handling this correctly. I mean, now congressmen and writing the senators and writing government, that also is something that, you know, does help. So, and it could also make us feel better too, because we're getting it out. We feel like we're doing something positive, right? Which we are, especially if we're bringing awareness, you know. Well, and that's a good point too. Bab says, I think it's because they screwed up so badly, the FBI will reveal all of it. Yeah. And maybe they don't want it looked into. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't make them happy that in the beginning they did drop the ball, in my opinion. You know, there's a lot of things that they should have been doing. And you never just think of one aspect of a case, right? You have to think of everything before, and then you kind of whittle your way down to things just based on facts and what you have in evidence, right? So, you know, you might have a child that's missing, right? In this case, Sebastian is missing. Did he run away? Did someone come take him, you know, in the middle of the night like Elizabeth Smart? Did he meet somebody online and he decided to, you know, go with them? Was there a predator in and around the area that, you know, was watching Sebastian, again, like Elizabeth Smart? But then you also have to think about other aspects as well, like the parents. Yes, the house is clean. Yes, there's food. Yes, he has his own bedroom. Looks like he's got toys. You know, he, from all accounts, everything looks great. But then once we find out there was CPS reports and that Sebastian was seeing a counselor, Sebastian, he should have been telling his story through those words to the police officers, right? Because that's the last thing that they have from Sebastian was those words that he was using to the counselor, what he was telling the counselor, how he was describing his experience in his home life, right? They need to listen to him. Listen to Sebastian. If you're not going to listen to anybody else, listen to Sebastian. He'll tell you what happened to him. He was trying to tell people what was happening to him. I think one of the problems that we run into, and again, we're expecting a child to make the 100% right decision when he is being abused. He was trying to tell people he didn't want to get his mom in trouble. He didn't want his dad and his mom having problems. And, you know, he was trying to do his best to tell what was going on, but also he was trying to keep the peace. And that shows what a good heart Sebastian had, and that he didn't have any malice in what he was doing and telling. He just wanted it to stop. He just wanted it to stop. He didn't want to deal with the abuse anymore. Meg says, a certain asshole creator went to her property with pictures of her saying she was wanted and ran around with no pants. Meg, oh my goodness. He who shall not be named. They who shall not be named. But yes. Yeah, they were like, this lady's running around all over town with no pants on. And threatening to like run me out of my home where I live. And I live on private property. Right? I live on a resort. And so he says that he's going to run me out of the area because I'm a tragedy pimp. You know, whatever the hell that is. I mean, I know what a tragedy pimp is, but oh yeah, Bab, she's the one that's behind all of it. She's the one that's behind all of it. And the funniest thing is that he took money from people that were cyber stalking me that were already been reported. And then he's sitting there taking money for him to actually come to my home and try to find me. So yeah. Oh, thank you, Carla. Thank you. Don B has an awesome channel too. There's so many good creators out there, you guys. There's so many. I saw Smiley's live earlier. Her live was really good. You know, just in momming it up, just people who really care about these kids and who just want to find the answers and want to find this truth that's buried under all of this bull crap, you know. And we see this a lot in these cases where it'll just be, you know, just inundated with bullshit and lies and scandalous shit, right? And it's all to keep our eyes away from the child who's missing and pointed on other creators, on hate campaigns, smear campaigns, what have you, right? None of it's true. It's all bullshit. And the people that are making it all up are sitting back and laughing and saying, oh, look at that one believes us. And they're getting duper's delight off of you. So, you know, the better place to be is to really, if you're going to watch these true crime cases and get involved in things like that, you got to really focus on what the facts are, and then you can kind of surmise what side of things you may want to be on, or maybe you just stay neutral. But once you start going over and you start, you know, I can't tell you, there was a couple of people that came in my chat and was like, Lady Freedom, are you going to address this situation? And it's like, no, because I'm handling it legally behind the scenes. But in the same way, I would just ask those people that were sent over here, probably by the same person that's doing this to me, how would it make you feel? How would you like that done to your mother? How would you like that done to your sister or your daughter? You wouldn't like it. It's disgusting. What? It's cool to watch somebody intimidate somebody? Not for me. Gannon Stock was my first case for YouTube. I followed Gannon's case too, Don. I did too. There's a lot of similarities that I can see with Chris and Letitia, which is so strange, right? But they are both of the step parents. But I mean, even a man versus a woman, there's, you know, the comparisons are uncanny. I remember Letitia telling us that we were going to be apologizing to her, remember? it's like, okay, no, we're not. But they believe their own lies, right? And people many, many times will believe their own lies. And many times they'll believe a lie from somebody that they know, which is what has happened here ultimately, was that somebody ultimately lied to this person, and this person ran with it and decided, well, I'm going to harass this person, but if we take a stand against it, then they can't do it anymore. Is it easy to take a stand? No, it's not. It sucks. It's hard. It took up a lot of my time. It took a lot of money and energy to deal with it, but I dealt with it. And yeah, he broke into facilities in my resort that I live in, because everything is private and everything has codes on the doors. Because obviously we don't want anybody who doesn't pay to live here in here. Like, you have to pay to live here to use any of our facilities, like the pool, like the dog park, like any of it around in here. We all pay to live here. We don't want weird people coming through here with, that crazy talk. That one was heartbreaking, Holly S. Totally. But, justice was served for Gannon, and they found him, and if they would interrogate like the way they did with Letitia, did you see how that played out in that case? They pulled her in and they watched her, right? We had a camera on her. I mean, I saw all of her interrogations. We saw it all play out, right? And eventually she talked. But if you're never put into a corner or interrogated properly, then you're never going to talk, right? Because why would you need to? There's no pressure. The police believe you, right? Oh, you just walked away. He's gone. Poof. Disappeared. SI officer says if there is true, or if this is true, that they're just are wanting to get the credit and keep the case to themselves. And I feel very bad about being bipolar. Well, and I mean, it's a strong possibility. I really do. I think it's a strong possibility that they might just want to keep the case, and be the ones to solve it, Seth will never stop saying his name. No, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. And he won't. And he's been that way from the very beginning, steadfast from the very beginning. Oh, good, Detroit's back. I'm sorry I put you in timeout. I'm so sorry. Kiki says, I came on YouTube after my dad passed in October. Oh my goodness, Kiki, I'm so sorry. Initially was going to start channel about what injustices he went through, and my mom was a mod, and I started studying Sebastian. Oh, that's really cool. See, that's wonderful. And I'm sorry that your father had to suffer those injustices. Yeah, I mean, and that, I think that's what draws a lot of us to the true crime genre, right? We see these traumatic situations that are happening, but we also see the dynamics, and sometimes we've been involved in similar dynamics, or we understand. The minute that I saw Nina in her interview with Trev Lee, I was like, this woman has endured narcissistic abuse, and then her children were physically abused by Mr. Proudfoot. There was no doubt in my mind about it once I heard her story. What resonated with Nina and I is that Nina didn't make herself look good when she was telling her story, right? It lended to the fact that her story is most likely true, because she never, ever made herself look good. Not one single time. People could look at Nina's story and they could say, well, how come you had all the kids there and didn't leave the kids with your dad while you were dealing with Chris, even though you knew he was a toxic person? She wasn't thinking about that. She was in mom mode, right? She was in fight or flight mode. She's like, I need to keep my kids close to me, and I need to get my other kid, and I need to get the hell out of here. And that was her main focus, and that's what she did. And she described it all to us, and she drove as fast as she could, I believe, to Arkansas before they stopped. I know that fear and urgency. I've been through it. I understand it. And I understand having to try to protect your own child from their own father. I understand it. And so the minute that I saw that, I recognized it and I thought, this is who we're dealing with here. Thank you, little Miss Sharon. So I think that'll make you more keen to things, Kiki, too, while you're studying Sebastian's case. So. And Meg says the video mentions her speaking of KP and CP in a negative way. So they took a field trip while they got money sent to them in super chats and shit. Yep. True story. True story. Yep. Yep. And it was all the people that were already bullying me, or trying to. And, that's why I just kept it quiet and I just documented it and turned it in. Because that's what we need to be doing. If you're being bullied, and like I said, Eric with an H, and I feel comfortable sharing this information, because I didn't want to do a tit for tat, right? That's not what this is about. It's about my protection. Because they did in fact come looking for me and try to locate me, is what they said. I think his exact quote was, "It would be a wet dream to locate me." A person who has a very, very violent history, as well as selling date rape drugs. So that's the person that I'm making sure that I protect myself from. And that's the person that these other women in our true crime community were sending over to my home and told him where I lived. Allegedly, in my opinion, of course. But Eric with an H, I'm going to put it on my community wall. If you are experiencing any of that kind of stuff, guys, report it. Because you never know if there's somebody else out there that is experiencing the same shit from somebody else, right? And if you're not going to do anything about it, and if that person doesn't do anything about it, then they're just off to do it to another person, right? And bring it real life. And, they love it. They live for the drama. That's all they care about. They don't care about missing kids. They don't care about finding Sebastian. They don't care about spreading awareness. No, they want attention for themselves. And my channel is not about me. It's about Sebastian. It's about Summer. It's about women like Gabby Petito who didn't make it. She got to make one YouTube video. That's it. One YouTube video. And her life was cut short. It's not about me. I'm still here and breathing. I'm fine. Carla says, it angers me that lady was harassed by this woman and LE won't do anything to stop it. Yet BHB got protection order against her for posting flyers. That screams corruption. No, I did get protection from these people, Carla. I did. So, but thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, it took a little bit of doing, right? Because it's cyberbullying, right? It's cyber stalking. So it's difficult in that regard, right? And it pains me to take resources away from women who are actively being abused by their husbands, men who are actively being abused by their wives. Because this person decided that they were going to cyber stalk me and continue to threaten to come to my home. Even after they came to my neighborhood, they're threatening again to come to my home. And I had said nothing about them at all. Just that I wasn't hiding and to stop saying that I have warrants when I don't. But that's what they want. They want attention from themselves. And they want to take the attention off of Sebastian and Summer. Because I was told if I F around and I'm going to find out if I continue to talk about Summer, which I'm not going to stop talking about Summer either. Again, she's been missing for 4 years. June 15th, 2025 will be 4 years since she's been missing. I'm not going to stop talking about her. I never will. I'll never stop talking about Sebastian. I'll never stop talking about Lily and Jack. Because I'm sorry, but their case is starting to look like, one of these that we see all the time. So I pray that it's not. But at this point, SI officer says, God bless you, Seth. I am so proud of you standing firm and speaking up. Good job. Keep pushing, Daddy. That's right. That's right, SI officer. And we need to support Seth and lift him up. And we need to support any parent that is out there searching for their child, right? Any parent that's out there that needs our help. We need to be there for them. We need to hold them up. We need to let them know they're not alone. We need to let them know that we're gonna keep going. Cold, it's not cold to us, and it will never get cold if we don't let it. That's the one thing, in my opinion, to keep. That's one thing that we can all do. I should say, is we need to keep Sebastian's name out there and his face out there and his story out there. That's the only way it won't go cold. Sammy says, we certainly don't think it's a tip for tat. That is seriously disturbed individual, and that just not even something a sane person thinks of doing. Right. And having your wife drive you over. Like, I have never in my life, I don't care who it was, even my daughter's father, because I loved him more than I've ever loved anybody probably in my entire life. I did marry this person. If he had told me that he wanted to, get in the car and rev up that engine and go and harass a woman, I'd have looked at him like he was nuts. I'd have said, you have a good time with that, and I'm not bailing you out when you get in trouble for it, is what I would have done. I can't fathom another woman being okay with that and then posting it on her channel, sending him money and saying, we need to spread awareness. Awareness about what? A YouTuber that gets up here every single night. I've always shown my face to you guys. I've always shown who I am to you guys. But still, there were people that believed him and came into my chat. Friends of mine from Terry Lynn's community, who I thought were friends, right? Come over to my chat asking me how it makes me feel or if I'm addressing it. No, I'm not addressing it. I'm taking care of it, but I'm not addressing it. No. Why should I? Is that what your leader wants? That's what she sent you over here, you little little sheep. Disgusting. Disgusting. SI officer says, we will not stop either. We will get justice and answers. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we want to see actions being taken, SI officer. I agree. We would be happy with that. I think if we saw some sort of actions. Hey, Joseph Rapp, good to see you. Here's one of our guy true crimers. What's up, Joseph? Good to see you. Momming It Up says, these people can be very dangerous, in my opinion. Oh, super dangerous. Super dangerous. I mean, like I said, they're not trying to bring me a pie to welcome me to the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, quite the contrary. And they even said exactly that. And then I was getting threatening emails from their viewers telling me that I better watch out and that I better be careful. For what? Does that make you feel good in your heart to do something like that? Because I think it's totally gross. And as a matter of fact, if I saw somebody else getting treated the way that I was treated, I would have stood up and said something about that person. And again, you all know who you are that did that and who had enough balls to get yourself up on your platform and stick up for my ass. So I appreciate the hell out of you because, I would have expected a lot more people to do that, especially because don't think it can't happen to you. Don't think that I'm the only one that you're trying to victimize over here. Because I'm here to tell you, I've been through worse and I'm not afraid. And I will take action legally, and that's what I've done. But to everybody out there that wanted to believe all that crap, I guess I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would you say I am? Carla says, momming it up, they could be very dangerous. My middle name is Danger. Bring it on. Carla. And, you know, I mean, it's good to have that type of, you know, tenacious nature. It really is. You have to, if you're going to be on YouTube, you just have to, especially if you're going to put yourself out there. I remember telling my close people, right, that I was going to be going live. That I was going to be going live and that it might get a little bit shaky, right, when it comes to people trying to find out who I am. And, you know, there might be some weirdos out there. I mean, God, we talked about Dave the Jerker, you know, I mean, he subscribed to me. Like, if I look at my subscriptions and who subscribed to me, oh yeah, good old Dave the Jerker's right there with the best of them. You know, right there with my faves. And, you know, it is wild how quiet the mom is, Holly. It's totally wild. Especially when we have hero moms, super mom, like Brandy Neal. And I just want to grab her and hug her. You know what I mean? And I want to bring Monkey right back to her with all the answers of what happened to him. That's all I can think of when I look at her face, you know, and she's a beautiful person, good mama. Hey, Robini. Hey, Retha, good to see you. Justice for Sebastian now, please. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that's why all of us moms identify with Seth. You know, Don B says, just typical hush hush from the police. Yeah, Seth. Yep. Oh, yeah. And, you know, to a certain extent, I understand that. But then, you know, we've gotten to the point where it's too much. It's been too long, right? 453 days Sebastian's been missing. SI officer says, we know Seth is innocent. They need to just get on with it and find where Sebastian is. The rest is easy. I mean, I would think so. And I think that they need to bring Katie in for an interrogation. If they can absolutely, this is my stance on it. If they can absolutely say that Chris Proudfoot was in Memphis and he was in fact 3.5 hours away, then bring Katie in for questioning. Interrogate her away from her husband. She's a big girl, you know. That's true, Don. You know, doesn't mean they are not going at it 100%. Yeah. And I agree with that too. They very well could be. And it very well just could be like, you know, the public pressure and we all feel it, you know. But that's a good thing. And I think Seth doesn't want the case to go cold, you know. Same thing in the Idaho 4. Yep, absolutely. You know, but I'm glad that he's out there doing it, what he needs to be doing. Oh, I didn't know that. Knoxville has a lot of teachers getting caught for things they're being arrested. Wow. Sorry, guys, I'm a little behind in chat. Hey, Meow, good to see you. I'm just a little bit behind in chat. Bab says Governor Bill Lee and State Rep Marsha Blackburn. Those are some names that we can write to. I'll have to get those together and put them up into a video type thing. Hey, Tanya. Oh, you did try, Carla? Carla says, I tried, but because I don't live in Tennessee, I could not send an email to Tennessee senator or congressman. See, that's weird to me, too. Like we can't get a FOIA unless we live in Tennessee, but I thought that was a federal Freedom of Information Act. So, wow, I didn't know that, Carla. So we'll have to handwrite a letter. Robini says Tennessee won't take anyone who's not a resident into consideration. I agree. I agree, Robini. Absolutely. Hey, Tammy Carr. Sorry, guys, I'm just getting caught up here. Aw, Carla. Thank you, Carla, for your super chat. She says, my favorite people are in here. Yeah, same here. Same here. Thank you so much. You guys are all awesome. Tammy Carr says, y'all, I'm going off the topic for a moment. Wednesday night was the Jen Koff clip, so I went to cut my hair and forgot to mute, and I messed my damn hair up. Oh no, Tammy. Oh gosh, I could see myself doing that. Color in my hair, and the next thing I know, I hear something crazy on there. Oh good, Detroit's back. I'm so sorry. My goodness. Thank you, Mom, and thanks, guys. I'm moving through a little bit quick with the comments. Hey, Linda. Good to see you, Linda. Hey, Vic. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Show Poodles. Proof of a weird-ass basement at the V. Show Poodles. Hey, Baba Rose. Good to see you. Wonder about the guy in the neighborhood on Sebastian Rogers. Any word of him? I haven't heard anything about that, Tanya. I haven't. I wish I can say I had, but hey, Napanoch Father, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. I hope I didn't miss you because I know I'm behind in the chat. Hey, Mallycat. Sumner County Sheriff's Office should have recused their office from this case because it ties with the Proudfoot and the Bowerstocks. I agree, Carla. I agree. I agree. Hey, Suzanne. Good to see you. Oh, okay. I'll go look. Napanoch Father says, I hope you got my comment on your video earlier, Lady Freedom. I'll go look. Napanoch Father. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Brenda Calvert says, it made me wonder if there's corruption they don't want the feds finding out about. Very possible. We've seen a lot of corruption in Sumner County, just different instances of it, right? Unfortunately. When it comes to money, when it comes to real estate, a lot of their officers are heavily invested in the real estate. Oh, thank you, Mallycat, for gifting a membership, Lady Freedom Raw membership. If you got a membership, make sure that you say thank you and welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Thanks, Mallycat. That's so sweet of you. Bab says, convenient how the Proudfoots didn't say he was seeing a counselor weekly and had reported things to his teachers. Right. We heard that from Seth, though. Seth wasn't afraid to, say anything about that, because he didn't have any involvement in it, either. So he's a shit stirrer, Lori. Exactly. Thank you, Napanoch Father. Aw, thank you for hitting that like. Thank you. Ginger Girl's mom says, do we know which LE was on the scene first? Was the Hendersonville police on the scene first? I believe so. I believe they came in full force from what Katie and Chris had said. And I mean, Katie was there. Chris wasn't, Oh, good, Tammy, you got a membership? Fantastic. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Matthew is his name, since he likes to tell people's names. Ginger Girl's mom says, so would the Hendersonville police be responsible for securing the home? I would imagine they would be, right, with the first officers being on the scene. Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. Whoever was first on the scene, whoever, well, probably even more so whoever had jurisdiction, which I guess would be Sumner County. You know, they always have had it. That's a good question, though. Yeah, he said the mob crew was arrested, or Chris, not the whole entire mob crew, but the Chris, you know. And there's people that are gonna believe it, you know, and probably be like, "Hey, Chris, were you arrested?" You know, I mean, it's... Lori says TL called me and told me not to come to Lady Freedom's room. I couldn't believe it when she called me to say that. I mean, that's the thing. She thinks that she's skating by behind the scenes, like nobody knows what she's doing. She's doing it all. It's all because of what she's asking people to do and the lies that she's spreading around, right? Because she thinks it's funny that someone else would be willing to do her dirty work for her and get in trouble for her. And then she just sits back and laughs and acts like she never did anything. And, oh, I'm still for Sebastian and I'm still searching. She's not. She is not. Absolutely is not. She's panel hopping. She's stirring shit up behind the scenes. She's telling people, you know, don't go over and, you know, talk to this person or that person. Even though she preached on her channel for as long as I was a part of her channel that, you know, she's not like that. And she likes to, you know, help other people succeed and da-da-da-da-da and a whole bunch of lies and bullshit. And then, you know, she's been harassing me since the Nancy Grace crap. You know, how is that about Sebastian? Because you're not making it about Sebastian, you're making it about me, right? Crimes under investigation, thanks for being here. Says, sadly, you have no idea what it's like to have your child go missing and have people like all of you point fingers at you. I pray you never know what it's like. Also, hope... Oh. Well, I will have to respectfully disagree with you, crimes under investigation, because Seth has been in the forefront of trying to find his son from day one. After he left the Proudfoot residence, he went out and looked for his son, rolled his actual windows down, hollered out the window for Sebastian, was looking for him, has done many, many searches, and now he is being proactive and going down to the courthouse and making sure that his voice is heard. So I don't know if you've lost a child. It looks like from your previous statement that you may have, and I'm sorry that that's happened to you, and I hope that you get justice, and I hope that they find your child. But what I see from Chris and Katie Proudfoot and the way that they have acted throughout this whole entire situation, I think that it would be safe to say that Katie needs to say her son's name. Katie needs to be down at the police station demanding answers. Katie needs to be doing these things. And the finger being pointed at Katie is because I'm not pointing the finger at Sebastian. I refuse to point the finger at Sebastian when the blame Sebastian theory does not work. It simply does not work. And if you can show me how it works, that Katie is completely innocent, then I would be more than happy to entertain that. But until you can show me any type of proof that Katie has done anything besides sit back and let her husband say things like this about her son, then I really, respectfully, I don't want to hear what you have to say, because it doesn't make sense to me. But here we go.
Very high functioning.
I mean, and that's why, like, I was trying to just put it out there. It's like, everybody has come up with this idea, and that's not the case. People would know Sebastian, like, if we had never said he was autistic, people would not have a clue that Sebastian was autistic. They would thought something was wrong with him and not ever said autism.
Right. And you know what? If he...
They would have thought something was wrong with him. They would have thought something was wrong with him. Not autism. They would have thought something's wrong with him. Why don't you go after Chris and Katie? don't know Suzanne. I just know that he's definitely, hey, Ann Brock. I just know that he's definitely been incarcerated, and some in the charges were violent charges, right? And then also for selling GHB, which, I mean, it's public record. Tanya says, in my opinion, CP is an abuser, and anyone that supports that side are deeply troubled. I agree. And they never have anything to back it up. Never. And by the way, Sebastian is Seth's son. I would say my daughter. It's his son. And the reason why he has to say it's my son is because Katie runs around trying to make everybody think that Sebastian liked Chris more than his own father, which is preposterous, in my opinion. Don't forget, Katie was the last one with her son, and the last time she spoke publicly on any type of platform on YouTube was May 23rd, 2024. And then we have Chris all the way up until the 1 year mark. And then she comes out and does a couple of interviews at the 1 year mark. They need to pull her butt in and put her under a interrogation lamp. They just do. Thank you, Baba Rose. I appreciate you guys. And hey, Adam Forever 21. I just appreciate all of you guys, keeping it about Sebastian, keeping it about the missing people, because that's who matters. These true crime cases, that is who really matters, not the creators, not any kind of thing that we don't like each other or behind the scenes or somebody's jealous because they didn't get recognition on a video that I made. Lori says, put it in the search bar, Babs, White Boy Rick, and I think his name is. It's actually Lori, White Boy Rick. He was actually an informant for the police. White Boy Rick, his story is something that you guys, if you would watch his story, you would blow your mind, because he not only was an informant for the police, but he was a young guy when he was doing it, and they completely screwed him over, and then he ended up going to jail for a long time. White Boy Rick is not the same person, but I really highly recommend. There's a couple of really great documentaries, and I think there's one on Netflix or Hulu. White Boy Rick, really interesting, and would really make me scared to be a police informant since I watched that. But no, it's White Boy Lockdown Radio. They documented their entire harassment and cyber stalking, as if they didn't do anything wrong. It was really, really weird. Hey, Seashell, she is a good creator. I agree, Suzanne. Smiley is a sweetheart and a good creator. He was also threatening her. He was also threatening her. Hey, KJ Mac. Thank you, Tanya. Yeah, I couldn't really say anything until I was able to get all the documentation into law enforcement and everything that they needed to the courthouse and everything like that. And I just want other people to know that if people are doing that to you, you do not have to sit there and take it. You might have to be quiet and allow for them to do stuff like that to you, and you might have to take it in that regard. But there is justice that will come from people who are doing that sort of thing. And so if you do not retaliate and you just always stay in the right, you can get protection, and you don't have to put up with the mess, Thanks, Babs. I'll be your Huckleberry. Babs says these people are trash, and I'll stand up for you any day, anytime. Thank you, Babs. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you guys that have been doing it. And I'm sure some of you guys that probably didn't even know what was going on. Yeah, he's nasty. He's nasty. and just trying to intimidate a female, and then having your wife intimidate that female with you is just beyond me. It's beyond my comprehension, like I said, because as a woman, I would never allow for that. Like I would say, go do what you're gonna do, I guess. Like, you can't stop somebody from doing something, don't get me wrong, but there's no way that I would ever participate in that, you know. Thanks, Bless. Still your Huckleberry. You guys are so sweet. But I felt bad because I couldn't really say anything and like defend myself, right? Because I was trying to just make sure that I was doing what was right, you know. Because at the end of the day, nobody deserves to have people come into their house or into their neighborhood where they pay good money to stay, to deal with that. You know what I mean? Yeah, and all of those people supporting him, and all of those people that supported him after he did what he did to me, you know, it's not lost on me. I understand who these people are. You know what I mean? But it was hard to ignore it like that because, of course, you know, I mean, I'm very well liked by my neighbors. My neighbors are very sweet people. There's no reason to have any issues in the park at all. I mean, people are just very kind and loving. The first thing that I got when I came to Florida, was a big bouquet of flowers and a card. You know, that's who my neighbors are. And then to have somebody come around my neighborhood and say that they were scaring my neighbors and thinking it was funny, and people giving them money to do it, and not one single person saying like, what is wrong with you people? So you get off on, you know, instilling fear in neighbors of a person just because you don't like them or you don't believe in what they're saying, you know, because I can, you know, believe in what other people are saying, you know, but I'll turn them off if I get sick of listening to it or if I don't want to hear it. But I'm not going to go be rude in their comments. I'm not going to start a fight. That's just not, you know, I'll fight for what's right, but I'm not going to go looking for something like that, right? I pick my battles because you kind of have to in this scenario. Bab says, Lady Freedom, any thoughts on the kids missing in California? I don't think I've heard about the kids that were missing in California, Babs. I know I was really, really busy today. I had a really, really busy day today, and so that's probably what it was. Aw, Detroit. Yay, Detroit's back. Prayers for Brandy and Monkey Boy. Yes. Yeah, and this is an age progression, guys, that they did recently, and I'm sure a lot of you know, but just to kind of show, and I mean, but the one all the way to the far right is an age progression photo. So, and I know I heard something about maybe there being a 2-year mark where, you know, maybe we would get one of those from Sebastian, you know. And Megan L says, what was done to you, lady, was an atrocity, and the fact that other women condone and pay people for that behavior is appalling and disgusting. Thank you, Meg. I appreciate you saying that. You know, it blew my mind. Like, I really wasn't, you know, kind of expecting it. And I didn't even know who this person was until they started trying to stalk me and find out if I was hiding. And it's like, what do you mean hiding? I'm here every single night almost, you know? And the only time I'm not is when I'm dealing with these people, you know, and what they were doing. So yes, I do, Detroit. Oh my gosh, I was so upset when I was like, no, not Detroit. They put those buttons so close to each other on the phone, and it's like if you tap the wrong one, I did that to Trishie one night. I was like, oh, of all the people. Aw, thanks, Lori. Yeah, and I just want you guys to know, you know, that it does take time. It takes time for these things, you know. And it wasn't that I didn't want to like address things, but it's just, you know, I had already initiated things through law enforcement, and it was like, well, you know, I don't want it to look like going back and forth, just a regular online thing, because I know people do that a lot. I know people do that for like specifically to manufacture content, specifically to get views for the drama factor and da da da. Like I'm very well aware of kind of, you know, what goes on, which I wasn't before, to be honest, because I'm like, why would anybody fight with each other just to get clicks and views? Does that really work, you know? And but I'm not interested in doing that, you know. Hey Peggy. And Bab says FOIA stands for the Freedom of Information Act. It's a U.S. federal law that provides the public with the right to request access to information held by federal agencies. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I don't understand why we wouldn't be able to do a FOIA for Tennessee. But I guess only if you're a resident, you know. Thank you, Mally Cat. Thank you. You guys are so sweet. And like I said, I didn't want to... I hate bringing it up because it's just... But it kind of went into what Maman was saying and kind of what went into what we were talking about even Wednesday night. You know, just how people are getting targeted just for spreading awareness. I mean, I have a small channel, right? We're 3,000. I love every bit of who is here with us, right? Minus the weird people that are subscribed, you know. But in the same way, it's like I'm small fry, right? And they're worried about what I'm saying. It's weird, right? Because it's not like I have, you know, 1 million people that are listening to me or 1 million people that even follow me. It's a very, very small number, but they're still worried, which is weird, right? KJ Max says, I strongly lean toward corruption being a problem. Tins SC, when you consider that nepotism, favoritism, and corruption are rife in small towns, I believe this area still operates like a small town. Yeah, KJ Mac, that's really well said. So I was kind of saying that earlier, but it's like, I know it's a bigger city, kind of a little bit metropolitan, but in the same way, it still operates like a small town. So thank you for that comment, because that's the way I see it myself, you know. Hey, Sarah C. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Detroit. That's one of my favorite songs by Tina Turner. One of my favorites. TN nurses, they are all out of Hendersonville city limits. Okay, yeah, TN nurse, thank you. So they would be like in the right outside the city limits, so part of the county, right? Yeah, thank you for reminding us of that. Thank you. Hey, Town Chat Cafe, good to see you. Thank you for being 89, number 89. Yeah, Babs, this is the same person that's spreading lies about me. OMG, someone said Chris of the mob crew was arrested. What depths will these bottom dwellers not go to? I mean, I saw it today too, because I was just checking to see what I was in for, how ticked off people were going to be or whatever. And I saw that too. And I'm like, you know, why? No receipts, right? It was just willy-nilly up there. And I have a really great sense of humor, but there's a lot of people that I just don't get their senses of humor, you know? Meg says, could anyone even imagine driving your husband to go harass, defame, and slander another woman? What kind of woman takes part in that on a private freaking property at that? I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I can't even imagine it. I can't imagine anybody that I've ever been with coming to me and saying that to me, like, hey, you know, I know that we were supposed to go out and, you know, get some lunch, but let's go do this instead. And me say, oh yeah, let's go spend our money on that. That sounds great. Like, weird. Yeah, the person that found the pants. Yeah, Vic. And she basically said that, you know, all of a sudden now she's saying that Seth planted the pants. That was the newest lie by Terry Lynn. You know, because any of us that were following her when the pants were found, that wasn't what she was saying. And if we can all remember correctly, Seth was down in at Grandfather Mountain trying to figure out if that young man was Sebastian or not, you know. Miss Sarah C says, "Ah, I love Chris from Mob. Does anyone know what happened? Notice he wasn't, or he hasn't been posting." You know, I saw that he had made a post about Lily and Jack. That was the last post that I saw, but I wouldn't believe any of that stuff. You know, thanks, Lori. I just wouldn't, especially coming from them. I mean, I wouldn't even agree, you know, like I wouldn't, I didn't even believe some of the stuff that I was hearing about Matthew, who likes to go by White Boy, until I saw it for myself. Because I know a lot of people, you know, there might be people that don't like him and then they're putting out information. So you know, I checked it myself and yeah, sure enough. Grape rape, I don't know how to even say it. Rugs is, you know, the charge. You know. Okay, Babs, thank you. He's been ill. Yeah. So, you know, while he's ill, let's make up a lie about him saying he got arrested. That sounds like a good person right there. Not maybe leaving him alone till he feels better enough to fuck with, but now you're just gonna fuck with him, you know, when he's ill. I mean, come on. Gosh. You do, Anne. Anne says, I have an autistic grandson myself. Aw. And I think a lot of people are drawn to Sebastian's case because of that, because they have someone that they love that has special needs. And, you know, a lot of us can't even fathom, you know, how somebody could treat somebody that has special needs in that manner, like Chris disciplining him with the belt. Sharon Marlowe, thanks for your super chat. Sharon Marlowe says, Seth opened the can of worms they wanted to keep closed when he mentioned CPS in the interview. LE cannot be happy the abuse is out about Sebastian. Yeah, Sharon, I agree. But, you know, I think that it's necessary so that we can see what the dynamic was when Sebastian went missing. You know, I think it's a really important piece. I think it could speak to premeditation. It could speak for, you know, to being a motive, because there was tension and that caused problems, right? And then even Chris was saying Sebastian thought he was going to get me kicked out of my own house. He didn't seem pleased with that. I don't think any of us would be, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, really well said. I think he did open a can of worms, and I think sometimes we do need to do that, you know. They don't need to ask me to do anything. Too many wolves running around. I agree, Tammy. Well, and it's just, you know, it's unfortunate, especially because, like I said, it's just not about anybody besides the kids that are missing. I love it too. Bab says, I love that Seth went to the courthouse and is being covered by the news. This will get the ball rolling, in my opinion. Yeah, well, and I think it just speaks to his determination of it not being, you know, not letting Sebastian's case go cold. You know, nobody wants that. We can't have that, you know. Aw, thank you, Joyce. That's so sweet. Joyce says, hey, girly, don't let anyone take your sunshine. You go, baby girl. Aw, love you. Love you being you. Aw, thank you, Joyce. That's so sweet. You guys are all so awesome. I really appreciate you guys. And like I said, I love coming up here and talking with you guys all the time. You know, that's what I'd love to do, is every night be up here talking about true crime. Especially because, like I said, you know, you all have so many ideas that don't even, you know, enter into my brain. And then I start thinking about it and I'm like, wow. Adam Forever 21 says, was that Seth today at the courthouse? Awesome. If so, enough is enough. Yeah, Seth was at the courthouse today. Yeah, that was him. He's pointing back at the courthouse in the up in the background. Yep. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, while I get a little bit caught up here, I'll go ahead and play that again. Because I played it in the beginning. I have so many up here. Okay, there we go.
It has been 453 days since now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers vanished from his home in Hendersonville. His disappearance sparked national headlines, but now his father says the case is losing momentum. With National Missing Children's Day coming up on Sunday, he is raising his voice and demanding urgency. News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry is outside the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, where Sebastian's father made an emotional plea today. Caitlin.
Sebastian's biological father, Seth Rogers, was deeply frustrated when he spoke with me. He fears the case is going cold.
My son's been missing for 15 months, and they don't care.
Sebastian disappeared in February last year. He was just 15 years old. Initial search efforts involved local police, the TBI, and the FBI. But those physical searches have since shifted to focus on the investigative side. The last press conference on the case was more than a year ago.
I would love to see them actually conducting more searches. I'd like to have some communication on the tips that have come in just with me, so that I know that when a tip comes in, I'm not following up on what job they're supposed to do.
Seth says only one detective is actively assigned to the case, and that he is often left to chase down the same leads, also sent to law enforcement.
We need more than just one set of eyes on this case, but it all falls on my shoulders to ask people to help find my son. My son means something to me. These people should be doing their job.
In his push for progress, Seth says he's reached out to lawmakers and is even drafting federal legislation aimed at reforming how child protection agencies and the Amber Alert system handle missing children's cases.
It's a federal oversight law on places like CPS, DCS, the Amber Alert, getting it redone and taking it out of people's hands that don't care about the children.
According to the FBI, an estimated 460,000 children are reported missing in the U.S. every year. Seth says every one of those cases deserves attention, including Sebastian's.
A parent demands answers. We demand answers because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
We reached out to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office for a statement. They assured us this case remains a top priority and said in part, please know that behind the scenes a tremendous amount of work has been done and will continue. Some aspects of the investigation are not visible to the public due to the sensitive nature of the case. Sebastian's family continues to ask for the community's help. If you know anything about Sebastian's whereabouts, you're asked to call the Sumner County Sheriff's Office or the TBI. Those numbers can be found on our website at WKRN.com. Live in Gallatin, Caitlin Quisenberry, News 2.
Okay, guys, so that was Seth earlier today at the courthouse, and I believe it was probably, I didn't see it until maybe 4 o'clock or so, but I think it was around that time that he did the interview, or maybe during the day. It actually looks like he's there daylight. Brenda, that's a good question. And I also wanted to say thank you, Sonny, and welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. Brenda says, do you think that the reason there hasn't been arrest in Sebastian's case is that family is way involved in criminal activity and they want to bust it all? I think that's a high probability. I do. And I think with them saying that they're working hard behind the scenes, maybe that's what they're doing, is building a case still. It's so frustrating, though. But I think that could be a strong possibility. I really do. I really, really do. Because there could be way more that we don't know about happening. KJ Max says, it's so sad that the drama tactics work and increase views. I blame the audience for that part. If you don't watch, they lose incentive to produce this kind of stalking material. Right, KJ Mac. And that's the thing, not one single person in that chat was like, wow, this is going a little far, don't you think? Or even if I would have saw one little thing, because I had to pull the transcripts in order to get the evidence, right? And, looking back at the chat and finding out kind of what was going on in there as well. But not one person came in and was like, hey, what are you doing? Like, I'm one of your followers, but what is this? You know, they all just kind of thought it was great. And they were being thanked by the people who started stalking me to begin with. And so, you know, sometimes it really is what it appears to be. Yeah, I agree, Rogue. And that's the thing, you know, we have to consider all of the options, and we also have to consider that really perhaps it really is what it is, you know, like if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Um, well, and that's the thing, Roxy, you know, he had mentioned Chris and Katie several times. He had also mentioned that Seth is, you know, participates in the chat some days, you know, and so what? You know, he wants his son to be talked about online. So of course, he wants the awareness there. You know, I can't go so far as to say that Chris and Katie were behind any of it, but then again, you see the flip with Terry Lynn and how, you know, now Chris is her favorite person. She doesn't even talk about Katie. She talks about Chris and what a good person he is. It's very strange, you know. Um, thank you, Vic. I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think it is because I'm telling the truth and I'm getting a little bit closer. They didn't like the lights video. I was told that by Terry Lynn. That's a big falling out factor, other than the fact that, you know, Grace's gavel wanted credit for something that she never did. She had nothing to do with it. She sent me one photo. I made a video on it, and that was that, you know. But it's just, you know, the over and over and over again. Um, and then when you look into Terry Lynn's history, she's known for this behavior of trolling, of going real life on people, of causing trouble. Um, you know, it's part of her repertoire, right? It's part of her resume, if you will, which I never knew about that. And I almost felt, and I still do feel that I let Sebastian down in that capacity where I was involved with somebody like that, right? I was supporting someone like that who I thought was looking for Sebastian, you know, and I feel like that's part of, you know, my failure to Sebastian, right? And not really listening to what was going on or paying attention and just enjoying myself in the chat and, you know, liking the people that were in there and enjoying their company. And, you know, I just thought supporting somebody that was supporting Sebastian, you know. And Lori says, Brenda, I thought that myself often. Yeah, and wouldn't that be great? Like that would be fantastic, you know, because here they are thinking they got away with something and they really didn't. At the end of the day, you know, they really didn't. Yeah, Robini, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's just about the viewership and things like that, and, you know, what's going to get more views. And then I hear that, you know, there's a stalking and harassing campaign towards Smiley. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Another woman, right? Where's a man going up against a man, right? Isn't that the more noble thing to do? Isn't that the tough guy thing to do, is to go after a man, not a woman? But we see this from these cowards going after women and other women facilitating it. That was another major issue, you know. It's weird to me. Bab says, Brenda Culver, I know this question isn't for me, but my 2 cents, I think all of them are corrupt and being paid, and no one wants the gravy train to run dry. I mean, that's a powerful statement, Babs. I appreciate that. I agree. I'm starting to lean way more towards corruption, right? And we all know I kind of went back and forth with it, and I'm like, you know, give them a chance, right? They said they're working hard. Let's see what they come up with. But yeah, I can't help but agree with that. SI officer says, I work with a friend at FBI. He has even said the area is good old boy mentality, turn the cheek. Yeah, and we talked about that here a lot, you know. It's who you know, or who you've been involved with in the past. And I believe a lot of these people locally were pretending like they were on Seth's side, and they weren't from the very beginning, from my research that I've been doing. And I've been looking into it extensively because I would hate to say something that wasn't correct, right? I would hate to say something like somebody was blamed for something and they didn't do it, right? And if that ever happened, where I got something wrong, I would tell you guys. I would just say, hey, I have it wrong. I shouldn't have said that. Or it appears that it's this way now instead of what I thought. But it's just really something. They could get them on a lesser charge if any criminal activity still finish this case, in my opinion. I mean, I would think so too, Robini, and I would think they would be able to bring them in for questioning at the very least, Hey, Ava, nice to see you. Thank you. Thanks for hitting the like. Thank you, Mamima. In my opinion, we're doing what we need to do and can. Seth, we will help you and hold you both up. Enough is enough. Thank you. Thank you. And I love your picture of Sebastian there. I can see him smiling. SI officer says, remember Chris from Mob had said that he was working a case for a few weeks assisting. Oh, thank you, SI officer. I did not hear that. So thank you. I appreciate you letting us know that. Babs, if I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now. Chevy Chase. That's great. Joyce says, people are losing interest in Sebastian, but not all of us. Katie and Chris have to meet the judge at the end of their time on this earth, and I will leave it there. Karma comes with thousands of Karens. You're right, Joyce. You're right. And I think that we need to, renew interest. I really do. I think the more that we do that, I think a lot of it has to do with the targeted threats. And I think a lot of it has to do with people not wanting to stand up for what's right because they don't want to be targeted. It's kind of like that mentality of, as long, if you can't beat them, join them. Or as long as it's not me, they're coming after, then, good. We'll let somebody be abused and stalked and harassed. And, but as long as it's not happening to me, and, I don't want myself to be in that situation, so I'm not going to say anything, and I'm going to leave Sebastian's case and, go to something else. Other people have the mentality like, look, this is a circus. This is ridiculous. This is not okay in a missing child's case, and they don't want nothing to do with it. Right. Good people that are feeling that way. And I can't blame them for feeling that way. I really can't. Yeah, Mob. Thanks, SI officer. I don't understand it either, Vic. What purpose do these people get from lying about a missing child? I don't understand it. Yeah, and I think more or less it's really to exhaust people and to create chaos and to, put a damper on the case, and then that way people won't want to talk about it, No responsibility, Joyce. Exactly. Thank you, Sharon Marlowe. It was time for him to speak out about it. Absolutely. Thank you for your super chat. And I agree. It was time for him to take a stand. And also hearing that his son's case is getting cold, that probably, lit a really big fire under his behind, and thought, I need to get out there. And, that's what Seth does. That's what he's done from the beginning, is advocated for Sebastian. It's always been about Sebastian from the very, very beginning. Motive right there out of Edgar's mouth. I agree, Vic. And it speaks to the motive. It definitely does. Meg says, I'm pretty sure you can request a FOIA in an open case I'm pretty sure you can't request a FOIA in an open case. That's why Sumner County will keep that case open forever. I agree with what you're saying, and it's my understanding that that's true. That if the case is open, then there is no getting a Freedom of Information Act or getting information in general on the case, since it is an open investigation. And if they keep it open, it will always stay that way. Because we saw the same thing in Crystal's case. Yeah, that was a big thing for Chris, Carla, that he didn't want to get removed from the home. Yep. Deb says, I know that Seth has to work. He has life and responsibilities, but if he can, he should be there at the courthouse or police station with the news camera every chance he gets. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that the news is willing to be there to cover Sebastian's case and to be there to help Seth and feel supported, right? And feel like his voice is going to be heard. And we all loved hearing him, you know. I think so, Carla. Yeah, it's my understanding that that's going forward. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Detroit says they can try to shut us up, but we outnumber them by the thousands. Bring it on. Exactly. There are so many good people out there. Thank you, Detroit. I agree 100%. There's so many good people out there that just want Sebastian being found. You know, that's all. People from Michigan are loud and proud, Joyce. Aw. We got a lot of people from Michigan, huh? Oh, Babs. I know. Crying again. God, bring answers to Seth. That's all he wants. You know, I mean, it's all he wants. He doesn't want to stir the pot. You know, he could get on, you know, YouTube every single night and just really stir that pot. You know what I mean? He could just sit up there all night. But he doesn't. He doesn't do that. He uses his platform for positive, right? I've always seen him do that. You know, so Carla HH says, what work has been done? Listed as we see nothing but debunking true evidence. I know, and I really wish they would give us a timeline or something. I mean, I wish they would just come out and say something. I think it would really help the situation if they did. And, you know, maybe it won't, but, you know, live in Gallatin where the DA resides, shaking my head. Yeah, exactly. Well said, Rogue. Yeah, well said. Yeah, I saw that Town Chat Cafe. So wasn't that something what Jay's posted about where he is, he's not coming back from? I thought so, yeah. I thought that was really powerful. And I think at the end of the day, it's probably safe to say that, you know, they may know more than what they're letting on. And that would be the reason why I would think that, right? Is because if they're saying where he is, he's not coming back from, that makes me think that they have knowledge of where Sebastian might be, and that it isn't one of the theories, like maybe a school or maybe somebody has him and they're keeping him, right? That was something, Town Chat, really was something. This is what a parent with a missing child looks like, Ava. I agree. Oh, Miss Sarah C., are you having trouble? Did they kick me off for a second there? Oh, Meg says that broke my heart because that is what a real parent of a missing child looks like, in my opinion. Keep shouting from the rooftop, Seth. Absolutely. 100%. And I know, I mean, I was just sitting here crying, putting that together, and you're not old, just seasoned. Peggy Setliff says, I don't know how he still would be in Tennessee. I would love to search, but the state, I believe a family member has him. In my opinion, he is in another state. Oh, that's interesting, Peggy. Yeah, and I mean, he very well could be. We don't know. We don't know. We just don't know. Hey, I am Two Bear says, high five, Rogue. I think you are correct. Good to see you, I am Two Bear. Sharon Marlowe says, Seth looks exhausted. I pray this interview moves the needle. They need to clear Seth. Then the tips will come in. The other two are not cleared. That's a good point, Sharon. And, I haven't thought about that before. But you're right. The tips would come in if the other two aren't cleared. If Seth was cleared, maybe they'd have more tips coming in for who really had something to do with it. That's a good point. Thank you. Yeah. As far as I know, the billboards are still up, Babs. Yes. So hopefully. West Virginia. Okay. Close to the ocean. Oh, good, Miss Cersei. I'm glad you're back. She might got hots for the foot. Well, yeah, it seems like a couple people do, and it's weird. It's weird, Vic. I agree. I think so. I am Two Bear. I think so. Oh, thank you, Miss Sarah C. Yeah, that's what it was in the beginning, and I didn't want to believe that. I was like jealous. Why? Like what? And then I also, tried to really promote the other people, and it just didn't work out. But I will stay safe, and yes, I do have security. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I don't understand. Because there's enough room on here for everybody's ideas and thoughts and opinions. Wait, what? Good to see you. Wait, what? Says, I think the V and CP knew each other from school. Yeah, they did. And she knew the family and stuff like that, Rogue says, that is why I don't get picked on. I want them for two. Sorry, Rogue. Let me say it again. That is why I don't get picked on. I want them to for reasons I cannot say, yet no one does. Rogue, that's funny. Well, and it's not good to pick on anybody, I mean, it's okay to say, hey, I disagree with you, or how could you think something like that? That's not picking on them, picking on somebody really, but I know what you mean, and it's really thick on here. I mean, people making dolls of each other, cards of each other. I get it, and some of it isn't as bothersome as other stuff. But when people go real life, it's a whole nother ball game. It's like, okay, that needs to stop. MS says, just keep doing what you're doing, Lady Freedom. We love you and all your hard work. Aw, thank you. I have ever had a good feeling about Terry Lynn. Yeah, I unfortunately did. And I wished I hadn't. Aw, thank you, Peggy. Thank you. You guys are all awesome. I appreciate all of your support. I really do. Hey, wait, what? Joyce says they took advantage of you, Lady Freedom, because they didn't understand who you are, tough, strong, and can endure this BS because you won't take it. Go, girl. Thank you, Joyce. Yeah, I think they did. I mean, they do that to nice people, and I've seen them do that to several people on here, right? The nicest people are always the ones that the hate channels are trying to go after, right? Because they think you're too nice and you're not going to stand up for yourself and stuff like that. And I do. Thanks, Lori. And I do see that happening all over, and I don't understand it particularly. Besides, people think that just because you're nice, you're weak or something like that. But that's not the case. I think it takes a really strong person to be nice, and polite, and especially in the world nowadays, right? Maybe West Virginia. See, I know there were people that, well, he's got family in Virginia, Peggy, but I don't know about West Virginia. I mean, it's a possibility. Anything's possible. You do too. You go back and forth on it too, Brenda. Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's, you know. Bab says, of course you would say if you did something wrong because you have integrity and morals. Screw all that trash. Thanks, Babs. Yeah, because I mean I don't want to accuse anybody that didn't do anything, right? I mean, I don't want to be even looking in the wrong direction at this point because gosh, it's been 15 months, 430, or excuse me, 453 days, and we don't have the answers like maybe we would in other cases even. Um, you know, making friends, you're right about that. I am too, Bear. Making friends on the YouTube streets is a shifty game. It is. You never know. You never know what, where loyalties lie, or even if people are coming over and becoming your friend because they want to screw you over. Like, it's really weird. Um, yeah, thank you, Vic. Exactly. Yeah. Think again. And there's so many strong people on here, right? Because like even the ones that have been targeted, they'll still talk about Sebastian. Um, he looks like his mama. ICCP adopted his looks from the female side of the family. He does look like his mom. He does. I agree with that, Rogue. 100%. Bad actors. Hey, bad actors says, time people start raising voices, emails, news, no updates on Summers / Sebastian makes cases go cold. Exactly, bad actors. You're so right. I'm going to look more into like who we can write to, because I think that would be really beneficial, even if we have to do like letters, right? I know it's easier to email, and I know, but if we're not allowed to email, but they would still accept a letter, a handwritten letter, I would think. But you're right. We need to raise our voices together. We need to speak up to LE. That we do. That we do. Wait, what says of those, or they would take KK in and leave her there until she comes up with the script number 10 and make CP guess what she said. Yeah, he'd get his freedom to Scooby-Doo again. Right. I agree with that. Wait, what? If they were to put Katie in a different room and then, see what she come up with, I think that could be really helpful. Just as a refresher, like, we know what you told us in the beginning, but what about right now? Is there anything new that you can remember? And then, even possibly using some of what they have against her if they did, You're right, bad actors. All cases go quiet after a while. Why at the 12 to 18 month period, people must go directly to LE. Yeah, it's always. You're right. It is always in that certain time frame, isn't it? That we see that, unfortunately. Yeah, but I think it is up to us to keep it going. Especially on the internet, the news. I think it was definitely very well premeditated. Bad actors, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind right now. They were. I believe they were. LE was totally outplayed by Chris and Katie. Yeah, yeah. Because again, they walk into this house. It's a nice house, right? It's a nice area. We got 2 military parents. You wouldn't think that you're dealing with someone like who you are, Carla says, if LE checked out all of the leads they get, and have a real person for them to talk to when they call in the tips, not a woman being gone for 5 hours. Well, and even when you send in tips to the TBI website, email, they'll even say this is not something that's manned, 24 hours by any means. So they're late to get to those leads that are being sent into the TBI, in my opinion. Bab says, Megan Els, I agree. The case will stay open forever so that no one can get access to info. Ugh. I would have to agree. It's a scary thought, but that's true, Rogue. That's a great point. Sometimes you have to play people like a poker hand. You can't give up, hence alert what you have. Exactly, right? Yeah, you can't don't show your cards, right? Don't see what you're playing with. Absolutely. You're very right. Robini says, well, when disappears CPS daughter, CP's daughter, what are LE going to do then, allegedly? I know, and I just can't believe they're allowing her to go there. I don't know. I just can't imagine how she must feel. You know what I mean? And then not being able to talk about it. I hope she's in counseling. Carla says someone needs to kidnap me, snuggle struggle, see if his officers can find him, or will they even look like Sebastian? It's funny you say that, because even yesterday I was like, I think I need to get really, really fat so no one can ever steal me, because I heard that somebody else was taken out of Hendersonville yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. I'm like, they can't take people unless if they're more compact. You can take them easily. Yeah, one set of eyes is not right. I'm so glad he spoke. I am so glad too. Adam Forever 21. I am so glad. And I'm sure that it made him feel better also, being able to go in and speak. Town Check Cafe says yes, and possibly what actually happened to him, and they are just trying to build the case to get the whole bunch, like Brenda also mentioned above. Yeah, I think that could be a very strong possibility, Town Chat. I really do. I really do believe that. Sunny Hines says, let's go Buckeyes, Ohio State to Kentucky. I'm from both states, born in Ohio, raised in Kentucky, and we all, my family support and praying for Sebastian, and then he comes home and prayers for his dad. Thank you, Sunny. That's so amazing. I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad to hear that all of your family supports Sebastian. I love hearing that. I love hearing that people will tell their family members about, their interest in true crime and say, look, there's this boy and he's missing and his name's Sebastian. All you have to do is show someone a picture of him. It's really amazing how that happens. You just show them the picture of Sebastian and boom, they're in love with him and they want to know more and they want to know what's going on. Bab says, if it was Snuggle Struggle, son missing, I wonder how effective and what efforts would be put forth. Well, Babs, it's funny you say that, because like in the beginning, he was even saying, he's like, if it was my kid, I would want this team on my kid's case, that the Sebastian's case is in the best hands, even, where he would want his kid's case to be, Oh no, your lights went out for a little while, Vic. My goodness. I agree, Rogue. I think it's time to cut the apron strings, so to speak. Mrs. Bowersox, my father was well off as well, and he would have never repeatedly gotten any of my brothers or sisters out of trouble. Help him. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of parents are like, hey, if you do that, then you're going to be in there, like, I'm not going to bail you out and make it easier for you. And other times people, get out of trouble, but there have to be some kind of accountability or they don't learn anything, Rogue. I agree. Robini says, I can't believe after all of the CPS reports and the child going missing from their home, they don't at the very least have supervised visitation. Right. Yeah, because why would you put Faith back in that house and make her feel horrible, make her feel scared? I agree. I think that would be the safest option. Or even having Chris come down, for a visit close by where, maybe he can have her during the day and then give her back at night or something like that. But it's so risky, especially when we hear about stories like Susan Powell, right? Susan and Josh Powell. Susan Powell goes missing. Josh is found to have some deviancies sexually, and the boys are only doing supervised visits with him. Well, he locked the social worker out of the house and ended up, blowing himself up in the house with the boys. I mean, so it's just kind of scary, just not knowing what somebody will do in a desperate situation, or when they feel like, they don't have any control and they're trying to get control back. They sometimes, will take a desperate measure like that. Wait, what says, I thought Sebastian could be in Cali. Interesting. And I mean, at this point, we don't know. We just don't. I blame the feet too, Vic. I do. Well, it's got to be something. And I don't think Katie could have done it on her own, although she is the last one with him. So I think it would be important to explore that more. Bab says, Robini, I think CPS made CP leave the home for 30 days. That's why he was working in Memphis. I believe that too. I believe that they didn't take Sebastian out because Chris wasn't in the home. You know what I mean? I really do believe that to be true. Detroit Rock City says, I pray to God that Nina reports every single thing CP has said during the search for Sebastian. This is so scary for her daughter's well-being. I'd be terrified if that was me. I would be too. I'd be beside myself. I don't even know how she would sleep, after handing Faith over like that. I don't know. I agree. Town Chat Cafe says, and maybe they have just one detective left on the case because they know, and so that they all need, all they need is to have one detective on the case basically for show to collect the evidence of all involved. Yeah, and I believe that's referring to Detective Brandon Carter is who I was thinking, they were referring to on that Tom Chat Cafe. So you may be right, Nah, Brenda says, I think if they put them two in jail, more tips would come in my opinion. I mean, it would take away the people who are afraid to be talking. I agree, Brenda. I do. I can't imagine how little Faith feels, Lori. I mean, it's not like she's a baby and she's not old enough to remember Sebastian or something like that. It's not like they weren't close. I mean, and I know that Nina's not going to let Faith forget her brother, I agree, and I don't know if they have all the information, Babs, but I mean, any judge who would grant visitation or summer break with the Proudfoots is a total idiot and is a horrible person, in my opinion. I don't know why they would grant that either. I can't wrap my mind around it, other than the fact that I know that they were lied to by the Proudfeet when their attorneys last summer. Adam Forever 21 says, the law worked with me in my son's murder. This is unacceptable from that county. Oh, thank you, Adam Forever 21, for sharing that with us, because I think it's really important to understand that there are good police officers out there that all they want to do is help. They work diligently for these cases. And I mean, there's some that, like Jen was saying, I mean, they just stay at the office all night. They miss out on time with their family, just anything, their own life, and thank you. So, and I'm so glad to hear that you had good people working with you. I really am glad to hear that. Aw, thanks, Peggy. That's so sweet of you, Peggy. Thanks for your super chat as well. If you need a place to stay, I have land in West Virginia. Aw, thanks, Peggy. That's so sweet of you. I think so too, Lori. I think people are afraid to say anything. And that's the scary thing. I mean, how much pull can these people really have? But if they're threatening everybody and people know what they're capable of, too much evil. I agree, Rogue. I agree. I mean, Susan, I can't even argue that. How is it that LE can't get Sebastian back? What would the circumstances be? Yeah, and I mean, at this point, I would think they would have it narrowed down quite a bit, right? To just a couple working theories. Unless they know 100%, which they very well might at this point, Aw, thank you, Vic. They really could know at this point, you know? Aw, thanks, Lori. Yeah, that's well said, Detroit. Yeah, she's old enough to know that something terrible happened to her brother. Kids are very intuitive and they retain information. This will affect her for the rest of her life, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. And then in this, the way that she's not able to express any of those feelings, that's really what gets me too. You know, that really well said, Detroit. And you know, if she does feel scared while she's there, is she going to get in trouble for saying, I feel scared, you know? Absolutely, Babs. I agree. Absolutely. I think it takes a strong person to be kind. It does. Yeah. Robini says, where is this coming from that Ellie knows where he is but can't get him back? You know, it was said on Crime Time Buzz. It was a short 10-minute video, and it was something that somebody had repeated or heard repeated. Aw, thank you, Peggy. Thank you, thank you. But it's so weird. Well, we also heard that one of the officers who came to the vigil was crying, and he left, and he's like, this is so bad. This is so bad, right? And I did research on that person, and I found out that he seems to be, in my opinion, you know, an officer of the law who is a good person, you know. They're threatening Lolly too? What? Oh my goodness. Well, and that's why we just have to take action, you know what I mean? And if it just document it as it comes in and as much as you can, because you know they're gonna keep doing it. You know, the weird thing is about this whole situation is that I ignored it. You know what I mean? I addressed some of the things that needed to be addressed, but for the most part, I ignored it. We kept on talking about the cases that are important to us. But yeah, they just don't stop. I mean, it's nonstop for them, you know? Adam Forever 21 says, law should, or LE should have went back immediately to that house and vehicles. This case should have been solved. I agree. They are covering their own negligent investigation for some reason. In my opinion, I still think an officer was there. Interesting, Adam Forever 21. I agree. Hey, KP Captain Jules, good to see you. Good to see, or K9 Captain Jules, good to see you. Good to see you. Aw. Scooby-Doo again made my night. OMG. Freedom to Scooby-Doo again just made my night. Jules, that's funny. Oh, yeah. Rogue says, shaking my head, all of this fighting and threatening, sucking senior citizen parents out of their money to pay people to cover up, yeah, for whatever evil has been done, and how many times he had to get bailed out. Yeah, really well said. Really, really well said, Rogue. And people get sick and tired of it, you know. They don't want to deal with that part. They want to know about Sebastian. They want to find out what's going on. Aw, thank you, Joyce. Thank you so much. Aw, thank you, Lori. Oh, did we get to I think we got past 100. Here, I'll play. Let me go ahead and play this, our party here. There we go. Okay, thank you guys for hitting that like button. Thank you for getting us to 100 likes tonight, or over 100. Thank you.
Weezer, there's someone I'd like you to meet. That looks like an autopsy.
Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. I'm so mad I don't know what to do. I want to know why. Lord, I wish I could understand.
I just want to hit something. I want to hit it hard. Here, hit this. Go ahead, Malin. Slap her. Are you crazy? Hit her. Are you high, Clary? We'll sell T-shirts saying I slapped Weezer Boudreaux. Hit her. Weezer, this is your chance to do something for your fellow man. Knock her lights out, Malin. Let go of me.
But you don't say that.
Malin, you just missed a chance of a lifetime. Have a chickapin parish and give the eye teeth to take a whack at Weezer. You are a pig from hell. Weezer, Weezer, I was just kidding. Come back. Oh.
Weezer, what brings you here? Shut up.
Not a very Christian thing to do. And now you gotta lighten up.
If you can't say anything nice about anybody, come sit by me.
It's like two pigs fighting under a blanket.
A girl is fair game until there's a ring on it. And I mean a wedding ring. An engagement ring just means she's ready for one more mistake. Okay, this is perfect. Watch this.
Sometimes I wish I was smooth like Zahid. Of all the people I know, he's the best at girls.
Thanks, Weezer. Nothing like a good piece of ass.
And that's how you do it. Now, I'm gonna go hide in the back because that guy said he's gonna kick my ass and he has a neck tattoo, so...
I am pleasant. Damn it! I just saw Drum Eating in this morning at the Piggly Wiggly, and I smiled at the son of a bitch, for I could help myself.
Honey, time marches on, and eventually you realize it's marching across your face.
Okay, guys, so that's our little party that we do when we get to 100 likes. So I love that movie too. It makes me laugh. The armadillo cake. It's like nothing like a good piece of ass. You know, that's like a healthy rivalry between, you know, Weezer and, well, Weezer doesn't get along with anybody, but, you know, her and that drum guy, that their relationship cracked me up the whole time, you know, and we know that he doesn't like her, but, you know, they kind of tolerate each other, right? Thank you, Joyce. But yeah, guys, I think the big takeaway tonight is just really that, you know, we can't let Sebastian's case go cold, and Seth doesn't want that, and we need a hero here. We need a hero. I'm going to echo Mammon, you know, and just say, hey, we need a hero. We need you to take this case seriously, Sumner County, please. We need you to find answers for us, Brandon Carter from the TBI, because if you're the one that's working on the case, we absolutely need you. And like I said, I don't want to not support people who are, you know, actively helping Sebastian. I wouldn't discourage them, but I think that we need to really step up our game. And, you know, Seth needs to be able to have that peace of mind that everything's being done possible, you know. And that's the biggest takeaway, I think, tonight, you know. Yeah, that's a party. Meg. But with that being said, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate all of your insight, all of your comments, all of your kind words. And, you know, let's just keep sharing Sebastian's information out there. If you see a really great post that you love, you can share it on your community post. All you have to do is go to share and then post it right from your favorite creator, whoever, did the video. And you can go ahead and get that out on your channel too, even if you don't have a channel where you talk all the time. But the more that's being shared, and then also Facebook is a really good one, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. So it's so great. You're welcome, Vic. Thank you all so much. I so appreciate you guys. I really do. Thank you. My mom had no filter, just like Shirley. I'm telling you, I love that scene with Shirley MacLaine in terms of endearment. Where she's trying to get her daughter's medication and they're late, and she's like, "Give it to her now, give it to her now," and she's freaking out. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's me," But you do what you. I guess another huge takeaway here is that you will do anything for your kids, right? If they need something, you're going to get it for them. If they want something, you're going to try to get it for them, right? As much as you can. You're so welcome. Thank you guys so much. You guys are so awesome. Thank you, Babs, and thank you, Jules, and SI Officer, Lori, all of you guys. Thank you so much, Meg, all of you guys. We see that urgency in Shirley MacLaine, right? In terms of endearment. I see that in Seth, and I wish I saw it in Katie. I would champion Katie in a second, but I just don't see it. I wish I did. I don't like not seeing it. I really wish I did, Aw, Detroit. Thank you. Today was just like a long day, but I was so glad to get up here with you guys. I wanted to get up here kind of early, and I'm so glad that I did, because I love being up here with you guys, and I love talking about Sebastian, and I know you guys care just as much. Absolutely. Thank you, Robini, just as much as I do. And we all care, and we want to lift Seth up, yeah. I am too, Bear. That's funny. I always remember the "you suck all the air out of the room" comment from Terms of Endearment. That was such a great movie. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. We do, Meg. And it's because of you guys. It's because of all you guys. Everybody in the chat, everybody is so respectful of each other. And you're right, Lori, we have to keep it alive. We have to. So thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Joyce. Thank you. The Lady Commodore, Joyce. You guys are awesome. Thank you. And that's right. Prayers and hugs for Seth, Vic. Thank you. You guys are amazing. I love you all so much. Please stay safe out there. And I'm going to post up the resources too for for Eric with an H too, because I didn't have a chance to do that. So, but again, I love you guys. I will see you all tomorrow for Saturday Night Live, and we will have fun. I hope you all have a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. So if I don't see you guys, I hope you're having fun in the sun, or special time with family that maybe you don't get to have all the time. And so I'm really hoping. Thank you, I Am Too Bear. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jules. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.